Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio.
Welcome back to TexAgs Stacked. I'm Billy Lucci.
Olin Buchanan.
Make a mistake. We're not going anywhere. This is going to be a great program, and we're building it into a great program.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I stand by what we do and how we do it.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, guys, who's the better quarterback, Joe Milton or Max Johnson? Before you answer that question out loud, let's talk about some of the numbers, some of the information that's out there, some of the film, if you will. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño, and he's our Heisman Trophy voter, good friend, columnist, Olin Buchanan. Olin, hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Feeling better.
You sound like you're...
Is my voice getting closer to what it normally is, which is not necessarily a good thing?
No, that's not good at all. It's not as Barry White as it was yesterday. I kind of miss it.
Yeah. I like Barry White.
You know, little scintillating sounds of Olin Buchanan on 102 Jams.
Yeah, pretty much back to, what I say, a face for radio and a voice for rodeo, and we're almost getting right back there.
So we're going to get a little Astros-Rangers ALCS.
Yeah, how about that?
A Texas team in the World Series.
It'll probably be Houston. I don't care how many games in a row they win. If the Rangers have a 3-0 lead and a 5-run lead with 2 out and 2 strikes on an Astros batter in the 9th inning, I am still not sure that the Rangers can win. So I'm going to continue doubting them, and I hope they continue proving me wrong.
OB's trying to reverse jinx.
It
worked in the NLDS or ALDS.
No, it's not
me,
that. It's what I've lived through with that franchise. That finally I just gave up on them. They're like the abusive spouse. In this case, what do you call it? Emotional?
Are you
abuse.
talking about Texas A&M right now?
Well, could be. that. You say, okay, I'm not going to do it again. And you say, okay, I'm going to believe in you. And
you're talking about A&M. Everything you're saying.
I guess that's my life.
That's what it felt like going into this season, into this game against Bama. That's what it felt like.
You're right.
Oh, my
you're
God.
Right. And what happened
right now?
And I got let down.
Are we going to be let down this weekend?
You know, I believe
the children are the future.
Yeah, that too. I believe that A&M is significantly more talented football team. And based on that, I believe they should win. Where I am concerned is from the mental standpoint of A, will they be able to be completely focused after last week? And B, again, mid-season, how many times did we hear Jimbo say, well, we missed this block. Well, we missed this assignment. Well, when do you stop missing assignments? I mean, you're mid-season. I guess you can feel confident if the guys carry out their assignments or don't have busts in the secondary, and there were some major busts in the secondary, and just, do what they're supposed to do without the mental aspect being an issue, then A&M wins, I think, comfortably. But at what point do you finally say, I just have to assume that they're going to have a major bust in the secondary, and I'm going to have to assume that they're going to miss blocks and blow assignments in the offensive line because that is what they do.
It is what they do. It's what they've done.
We keep saying, clean it up. And this is a championship caliber team, but they don't clean it up.
But it goes back to what was the comparison you used when the season started? You plug one hole and then another hole opens up. Like, that's what happens, I feel like, within a season and throughout seasons.
It's a whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. There
You
you
hit
go.
one thing, and then there's
Another
another
whack-a-mole
one
comes up. Yep. It's
Maybe they'll have a whack-a-vol this week. Whack-a-mole.
Well, let's kind of break down the quarterback battle here
Okay.
because Joe Milton came into the season with a lot of love because of the way he finished last season. 63% passer, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. All of his interceptions have been in SEC games, 139 efficiency there. Max Johnson, 60% passer, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks, 151 efficiency. You see a bunch of the numbers right there. I was told that Milton's not a runner, but he's got 139 yards this year, 13-3 there on the touchdown, the interception range. Here is where I am intrigued, Olin Buchanan.
All right, let me hear it.
Down the field passing. Tennessee, that was their bread and butter last year with Hendon Hooker, right?
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot right, not just that.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good.
Tennessee struggles with passes over 20 yards or more. He has connected on 8 of 30, 26%.
That's not 8 of 30?
Yeah.
On 20 yards or more?
Yep, 8 of 30, 26. This is according to Eric Kane, who works at On3 Tennessee. Okay. VolQuest.com. 26.7%.
Is that really that bad? If you're throwing it 20 yards downfield?
Doesn't sound good.
1 out of 4?
316 yards, 3 touchdowns only, and all 3 picks have come with 20 yards or more.
Well, you're more likely to throw a pick on a long pass.
Max, here's Max numbers on 20 yards or more. 14 attempts, 7 completions, 50%, so not as much. 199 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Pro Football Focus gives him a grade of 96.6, which is fantastic at 20 or more. Okay. Max on 10 of 19, 7 of 13, 53.8%, 109 yards, touchdown, and 1 touchdown. Where does Max struggle in these numbers is on close to the line of scrimmage. All right? And struggle's relative. He had that 1 interception that we all remember, the pick 6. Milton, on passes of 10 of 19, he's 11 of 27, so 40%, 3 touchdowns, 137 yards. Where he gets you, and this is where I wonder if A&M, this is a good thing for A&M? We'll see, because it depends what tackling, right? Within 10 yards, really good. 35 of 44, 80%, 331 yards passing. Behind the line of scrimmage, 90%, 47 of 52, 2 touchdowns. He's great behind the line of scrimmage.
So the shorter the pass, the more likely he is to complete it.
What did Jalen Milroe do against A&M? A little bit of both?
Yeah. I mean, he, of course, what, did he have a 50-yard touchdown pass where the safety didn't even move and let the guy run right by him?
Yep.
Right? I mean, he didn't move.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I've always, we talked about this all through the offseason. Joe Milton is probably an average quarterback with above average arm strength.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, so what? You can throw it a long way. If you don't get it to the guy, what difference does it make?
Who's the better quarterback, Obi?
I think they're really not in the way they play, but in their results, pretty much the same guy. I mean, if you'll look in their history of their entire college career, I'd say Max is.
Yeah. In this moment, again, Tennessee hasn't played anybody.
I'll tell you this, honestly, if I had to pick one of 2, I would take Max. I would.
Yep.
I think Max typically he needs to get rid of the ball sooner. He needs to make quicker decisions. They need to be the right decisions. But I think typically he's going to be more accurate, and I think he's going to typically make the right decision.
Here's another question for you. I don't really know the answer to this because I don't watch enough Tennessee. But who's got the better offensive line?
That is
I'm assuming Tennessee because he's only been sacked 5 times.
Yes, but you got to play somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying A&M's going up against great defenses every week either, but I feel very confident, and maybe I'm deluding myself here, but I feel very confident that A&M would be 5-0, 6-0, whatever it is, 0, and have 4 or 5 very comfortable wins had they played Tennessee's schedule. Virginia, Austin Peay, Florida, UTSA, South Carolina. You tell me what's the good team in that. I mean, we're talking most of those are really, really bad teams. Now, they went out and won 4 of them.
Auburn and Arkansas's defense, I think, are better than I don't know about better than Florida, but better than everybody else that you just mentioned.
They're probably similar to Florida. Florida might be better than Arkansas.
Better
maybe.
front.
Yeah, maybe. I think Auburn's defense is actually pretty decent. So, but you know what? They got beat by Florida, and they got beat bad by Florida. What was 29-16? I think it was.
Yeah.
So I think Tennessee is this enormous enigma that right now their ranking, number 19, is still based on what Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt and all those guys did. Because what they've done this year,
but
they may be great, but they got to prove it.
It goes back to what we started the show with yesterday. It's about A&M. It's not about Tennessee.
I agree with that. I think I believe that A&M is significantly more talented from, in their front 11 and their starting 22 and their and depth. I do believe that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that. But I just, like you said, it's about A&M. Are the guys, are offensive linemen going to miss blocks and blow assignments? Are the DBs going to blow coverages? Have coverage bust? Are you going to turn over the ball, throw a pick six when it's not on the quarterback? It's because no one really understands what the play is.
Yeah.
Are you going to make those kind of mistakes? And you like to say, yeah, all you got to do is clean those up. And you're a championship caliber team. It's the mental part. And is that coaching?
What do you think?
Well, I think it has to be.
Yeah.
Because if it keeps happening over and over and over
in different ways,
then why isn't the coaching working at, and if not, do you not have any options to give somebody else a shot?
Well, let's get back to the original question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Max versus Joe Milton.
I would take Max.
Okay. And I'd like to know what national media thinks, and we're going to get to that here in a minute. By the way, if you want to answer that question, you can do it multiple ways. You can call or text us, 979-693-1150. Who's a better quarterback, Joe Milton or Max Johnson, based on what you've seen out there? Let's go behind the glass and talk to Nick Savage. Nick, I know that you've looked at a list from Saturday Down South, buddy.
Yeah, Cade, our intern back here helping us produce the show, kind of drew it to our attention this morning, and every week, I guess they rank the SEC quarterbacks. And, Max Johnson, number, 12 on the list. And the entire SEC ranked only ahead of Peyton Thorne and, I guess, 2 Vanderbilt quarterbacks. Joe Milton on the list is number 9. So, apparently, Saturday Down South thinks Joe Milton is the better quarterback.
I do think that this is in the moment listing, right? Because Will Rogers was absolutely one of the better quarterbacks coming into the season. He's ranked number 11 on this list. But coming into the year, he was, one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC. Devin Leary, number 10. I think that's after the slashing that Georgia gave them. Milton had a bye week. He's number 9. Graham Mertz was ahead of everybody at number 8, which...
Well, Graham Mertz is one of those guys that has the ability to throw 300 yards every game, but he also has the ability to throw 5 interceptions in the game.
Yep.
Look, if you're going to say that if Saturday Down South says that Joe Milton's a better quarterback, at this point, I don't care. I'm saying, okay, go out and there's no room anymore when you're A&M to be offended or to have hurt feelings.
Yep.
To want to argue. You need, as a collective, I'm saying as a team, as a coaching staff, as an Aggie population, as a fan base, everybody, you need to just take the approach that, okay, I'm not going to say anything. I don't have to argue. I'm just going to go out and show it. Don't, no longer.
Yep.
You can't get offended because you don't prove anybody wrong. Just go out and freaking start proving people wrong.
Max Johnson last week on this same list was 12th, okay? The week before that, he was 11th. And the reason I bring up last week, because obviously it's not just about in the moment, KJ Jefferson, I thought, had a pretty rough game against A&M. Would you agree?
Yeah, not any fault of his own, but yeah.
He was 6 last week. So just to kind of give you a feel for the list of where they're at on. And it's Matt Hinton. Now, I would say Saturday Down South in total.
Just Aggies, if you are offended by that, just look for Max to go out and play better than Joe Milton. It's that simple.
Go throw for 350, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, win on the road. Then you're going to move up.
If you were – I can go back to 2012, midway through the season. If you were offended as an Aggie that some were still saying Geno Smith and Colin Klein were better than Johnny Manziel, you could say, you guys are crazy. What are you not seeing? You're idiots. And I would have said, yeah, I've been right there leading the charge with you. But as of what we've seen now, nobody should react to any kind of or be offended by anything. Just go out as a football team and prove everybody wrong. Because if you don't, you know what? Then you prove everybody right.
Yep, you're exactly right. Anything else, Nick?
Guess not.
No, that's fine.
Astros in 5. That's all I got.
I'm a little worried about this series with the Astros. And all because of the media member who talked about the celebration. If that doesn't happen, I think the Astros win. But because of that media storm.
Has that much power.
It does. Even though it doesn't, it does. But I could just see the celebration after. Ha ha. You didn't think you thought we celebrated too much? Watch us now.
Well, I would hate that. That's what it took to get the Rangers to playing well, right?
Yep.
With the look, here's the deal. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers have the lead going into the 9th inning in every game and lose every game because that bullpen sucks.
Pardon?
It struggles. It is lacking.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. By the way, catch every play of every Aggie football game at the Angry Elephant. Click on theangryelephantbar.com to find one of the closest locations to you. Leanna Davison, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. What's popping there at the News and Social Center?
We have a lot of sport updates for this weekend. So tomorrow morning, Cross Country will be hosting the Arturo Barrios Invitational, where there'll be 40-plus teams at the Dale Watts Cross Country course. There'll be free entry and admission, so you should get around and support our Aggies there.
How's my guy Eric Cassars going to do? Dominate?
He opened up last weekend and he won. Or for the men's side.
Jackrabbit, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. So him and Jonathan Chung should be a big key for the men's
Mr. Chung,
side.
let's go.
Yeah, so it'll be awesome. The gun will go off for the men's 8K at 8:30 a.m. and 9:15 a.m. for the women's 6K.
I think the Aggies are going to have fun that night. They're going to Jonathan Chung that night.
Heck yeah. The women's
Can
soccer.
we come back with? No, I'm not going to. There's a song that I was thinking about, but we're not going to go there. Go ahead.
The women's soccer will also take on Auburn tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. You can be streaming this on SEC Network Plus. Volleyball will be in Baton Rouge, where they'll play LSU tomorrow night at 8 p.m. You can also stream this on SEC Network. They'll also play South Carolina at Reed this Sunday at 2 p.m. So pack Reed, get around there.
Pack it.
And the women's tennis team starts their play today at the ITA Texas Regional. So yeah, it's a pretty hectic couple of days for 12th Man Athletics, but super excited to see how it goes.
Thank you, Leanna. Appreciate that. When we come back, Olin on TexAgs Radio. You ready for your Heisman watch?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do the little Heisman watch. Plus, a little bit later, I wouldn't call it trash talking, but Terry and Arnold talking Anaya Smith. Did you hear about that?
No, but did you cover Anaya Smith, Terry and Arnold? Because he had a huge game.
He did talk about covering him. It was actually all in fun. So okay. you'll like the soundbite. It's not that bad. Let's you were a little worked up today, Steve Jobs. A little worked up. I'm sorry, Olin. You were a little worked up.
What'd you call me?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah. You got the Steve Jobs look going.
I do? Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I had the Steve Jobs,
bank account. Yeah. So if you were to have...
When it comes to the bank account, I just get jobbed. But
if you were to have lunch with Steve Jobs, which would be weird now, but 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Where would you take him in College Station?
Fargo's. Well, I would take him in Bryan, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd go to Bryan and go to Fargo's. What would you get?
Yeah, well, it depends on the day. But if I took him today, on Thursday, I'd get a pork chop. I'd suggest a grilled one.
Okay.
And I'd say, hey, get some macaroni and cheese with that. If you want it, you can get double. But if not, you got the red potatoes or the green beans or white potatoes, some other color.
You can carb it up. You can protein it up. You can veggie it up.
Yeah, you can. I'm not ever been one to veggie it up, though.
No?
Especially not at a barbecue joint.
Do you monitor your fiber?
I do not. I do not.
It's so good to go there. By the way, tomorrow we can't go because we're on our way out.
Yeah, we'll be headed to Chattanooga, Tennessee.
But if I want to catfish, that's the place I go.
Well, yeah, if you don't want to eat meat, but you still want to go out on, maybe you have some religious things, and so you still want to go to Fargo's. Well, you can get the 4 C's.
Go get the 4
You
C's.
can get the catfish, the coleslaw, the corn, and those crunchy hush puppies.
Oh, so delish. Me gusta. Fargo's 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
It's the best barbecue in Texas, i.e. the world.
That's your trademark.
It's because it's true.
Yeah, it is. It's Fargo's. A little concerned. I found out a member of our staff, not going to say who, doesn't like the Astros because what happened in 2017.
What happened in 2017?
Apparently some cheating scandal that's been proven they didn't do it in the playoffs, but nobody wants to talk about that. But whatever. Okay. But it's totally okay with Tom Brady and the Patriots. It's selective hate of cheaters.
I don't even think of that as cheating on the Tom Brady thing.
But the NFL thought of it as.
They just had took a little bit of air.
But you don't think what the Astros did was.
No, I know they were cheating, but I don't care because baseball, they've always celebrated cheating. Yeah. Everybody does.
It's amazing how people are selective about.
Gaylord Perry's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, but the selective cheating, right? In Minnesota, they boo Jose Altuve because of the cheating and calling him a cheater. And then Carlos Correa, who was on that team that won, oh my God, you're the best.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's selective cheat. Hello, the Rangers were the king of steroid cheating at one point. Didn't win
I don't
anything.
think they were the king. They were definitely involved.
They were
definitely
They
involved.
were the mecca of
Come on.
steroids. Canseco, Palmeiro,
Canseco? You don't think
Juan
Canseco
Gonzalez,
wasn't doing it in Oakland?
Ruben Sierra. Oh no, yeah, it started in Oakland, but then the Rangers were just a big melting pot of needles.
They
That's a
may have
fact.
been. They may have been. But I think it
You
was,
know who didn't do steroids?
You know,
Nolan Ryan.
You know how that steroids was a problem when Brady Anderson
Hit 50.
50 home. Brady Anderson?
Who?
Hits 50 home runs.
But sorry, I can't like the Astros because the thing that happened in 2017. But I love when other people cheat.
No, I don't mind the quote cheating scandal for the Astros. That has no effect on me. Any ill will I might have toward the Astros is solely based on their fans.
Yep. I wonder if these people. Who's the biggest celebrity cheater? Like,
You mean like Will Smith's wife?
there you go. Yeah. Huh. There you go. But is it if it's approved?
Was it?
No, I don't know. Let's move on. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time.
None of these guys would cheat.
No, the Heisman Watch, brought to you by the Shurtleff Law Firm. Shurtleff Law Firm, delivering justice for those who need it most. All right, my friend, who's going to be your first Heisman guy?
Well, I'm going to go 5-1. Number 5, bringing him back, Drake May, the North Carolina quarterback. Third in the nation in total offense, has led North Carolina unbeaten record. He's passed for 1,629 yards, 8 touchdowns, and rushed for 174 yards and 4 touchdowns. Drake May, who I think should be the number 1 quarterback taken in the draft, even though it'll be Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it will be Caleb. Well, I don't know. Caleb Williams says he.
Well,
his
yeah,
dad,
they're already just trying to negotiate. Number 4, I'm sticking with Jordan Travis, the Florida State quarterback. Look, he didn't have gaudy stats last week, but he didn't need to. He threw for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns in an easy win over Virginia Tech. His season passing totals are 1,198 yards, 12 touchdowns. But, you know, he still played big in their big wins over LSU and Clemson. And I think, you know, that to me, that means more than putting up a bunch of yards against, some nobody.
Yep.
Number 3 on my list, Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback. He boosted his Heisman resume more with his legs than his arms in that 43-41 overtime win over Arizona. That's right, USC had to go in overtime to beat Arizona. Williams rushed for 41 yards and 3 touchdowns in that win. He also passed for 205 yards and a touchdown. He's ranked 11th in the nation in total offense, has passed for 1,808 yards with 22 touchdowns. He's run for 124 yards and 6 TDs.
Good times.
Number 2. You don't have to like this, Aggies. You don't have to like it, but you got to acknowledge
He's been fantastic.
Jaden Daniels, the LSU quarterback, he's been on a tear last week in a come-from-behind win over Missouri. Passed for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also rushed 130 yards and another touchdown. He ranks 2nd in the nation in total offense overall. Passed for 1,969 yards. That was a good year, 69. That was the year my wife was born. And 19 touchdowns. He also rushed for 422 yards and 4 TDs.
What's the threshold for losses if LSU loses 3, 4? Because he's having the second best season ever in LSU history.
Ricky Williams won the Heisman Trophy on a team that lost 4 games. Tim Tebow won it on a team that lost 3. They ended up losing their bowl game too. But there's only been one guy ever won the Heisman from a losing team. Do you know who it is?
No, who is it?
Paul Hornung.
Paul
from 2-8 Notre Dame, but it's Notre Dame, so that's why back then they always give it Notre Dame. He won it over Jim Brown, by the way.
Oh my.
Yeah, Balderdash.
Balderdash.
Number 1.
Uh-huh.
Michael Penix, the Washington quarterback. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We have Penix envy because he's such a good quarterback. And they were idle last week, the Huskies were. But he has a great chance to add to his Heisman resume this week because they're playing Oregon, the biggest game maybe of the season for them. He leads the nation in passing and in total offense, has completed 74.7% of his passes for 1,999 yards. Yes, they've been partying like it's 1999. And 16 touchdowns.
Yep.
Michael Penix. What do you agree, disagree? Tell me where you think I'm wrong. Tell me where you think I'm right. Who am I leaving out last year? You were high on Hendon Hooker.
Yeah,
before anybody else was.
I don't know about anybody, but I was high on him. I think I love your list where it is right now. Jaden Daniels is the interesting one to me because I think he deserves to be number 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think if they suffer another loss, he would be out of my top.
You know who I wanted to put in there, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it, was Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia. The last 3 games, he's been on fire. He's like 21 catches for 400-something yards, but I can't get past their second game. He had like 1 catch for 5 yards.
Let me read this text before we go to break. Randall and Salado. You're in denial. They cheated in the Dodgers World Series. That is common knowledge. Randall and Salado, who's not a Dodgers fan. He goes, you can hear the trash can banging during the game. Astros came back down like 7 runs. Let me ask you a question. Do you know where they won Game 7?
No, because it's Astros.
They won in Los Angeles.
Oh, did they?
I believe they split the first 2 games because I was there. So I don't remember any trash banging in Los Angeles. And here's my question. By the way, I do know that other teams were cheating that year. I've been told by several insiders, but whatever. Whatever.
After my visits to Los Angeles, I'm surprised there's a trash can in the city.
The city is.
Yeah, because the city's a trash can.
But all that being said, there's the guy who made the documentary about he did a oral documentary on a podcast about the scandal.
Yeah,
has a new movie out right now. You can watch it on YouTube, I believe, but it's several other places. Says there's no proof at all of them cheating in the playoffs or World Series. I know that people love to point at it. I'm just saying, with the report that everybody took as gospel.
Would they have gotten into the playoffs to begin with had they not cheated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, would the Dodgers? Would the Red Sox? Would the Yankees?
I'm just
saying they got in trouble the same year.
Again, I always say that who cares?
Yeah.
Everybody cheats in baseball just because you do it better. And I don't even like the Astros.
But I hate that they did.
I'm apathetic.
To be honest,
it wouldn't bother me. Look, if my team wins a championship, you can't take it away. I don't care what you think about it. I just got a championship.
Did Reggie Bush win the Heisman in your eyes?
No, I voted for Vince Young.
No. But did he actually get the award?
Yeah, he got it. And quite frankly, they stripped him of it for some of the things that right now
legal.
They're absolutely legal. They should reinstate him as the Heisman winner, but he'd probably say, no, I don't want it.
Yep, I agree.
It is kind of an ugly trophy.
It is?
It's a big doorstop, basically.
Oh. Let's hit a break. We'll come back. I'm looking for my copy. I don't see it, but here we go. Attention, men. F3 Aggieland is launching the newest location in College Station at Jack and Dorothy Miller Park, adjacent to Rock Prairie Elementary. Come out Saturday, October 21st at 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. for a free workout. F3 Aggieland is free of charge and open to all men of all fitness levels. F3 always held outdoors, rain or shine, peer-led boot camp style workout with some of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. Come join them and enjoy a free breakfast and coffee afterwards. Set your alarm and bring a friend on Saturday, October 21st to Jack and Dorothy Miller Park at 6:30 a.m. Check the Facebook page or go to f3aggieland.com. That's f3aggieland.com. It's a fun workout. A lot of good times together with friends and making new friends.
What's her name? Jack and Dorothy? Little workout with Jack and Dorothy.
I wasn't expecting that.
I don't know where that came from.
Well, maybe we'll hear that song at some point during the show. It is TexAgs Radio. We'll be back.
John Chung tonight. Well, and wasn't that his name, John? Jonathan Chung? Well, we'll call him John to make it fit the lyric.
Good song. I'm surprised I don't know. It's just timing, I guess. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We're going to get into some football here in a second, but I'm a little distraught after some of the information I found out during the break.
About kangaroos?
Here I thought they're like friends, like like a dog, right? Or even like a deer. You can't hang out with deer, but they're not really attacking humans.
But you know what? Some deer you can't hang out with. They get more and more docile
social?
because they get used because we're moving into their territory.
But apparently,
in their habitat,
kangaroos are bigger killers of the human race than sharks. Leanna Davison, who is our kangaroo expert here on the program at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, you were telling me that it is quite common for kangaroos to attack humans?
I wouldn't say, like attack, but they'll come out at the car. I think it's the male ones more so.
So like if you're just I don't know, camping, and there's a kangaroo in the area.
If you go up to it, it's not going to be a big dude. It's not going to be very nice to you. It's not just going to
but it's not going to like
come
say,
out of the wild and like be like a bear.
Camp, I'm going to hop over and kick his ass. Right?
Yeah, will it come over and like start beef?
I think if you're in a tent, no, you're fine. I don't know. I've never had a kangaroo attack me personally.
Well, have you ever been
he's up there. I'm not trying to have any boxing matches.
But if one tried, she could pick up a spear and throw it at him, probably kill it.
I can hunt it. See, it knows, like it feels that.
Wait, the kangaroos. Do people eat? I'm sorry.
Yes, they do eat
kangaroo.
kangaroo.
Are you gonna ask if we eat it?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we had to eat it for
the
a
same
cooking
way we
class
eat
at
venison.
school.
You had to eat it at school?
Yeah, but I feel bad because like you don't eat a bald eagle, do you? No, that's our national emblem. It's pretty bad.
But I would eat a deer.
It's pretty good though.
I have eaten deer. It's good.
The
Kangaroo's
meat
good.
is good. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't like to do it often.
I don't know what the
do you bring home in a sack?
The year on this stat that I have for you. Most common animal-related human deaths: kangaroos 18, bees 16, sharks 16, venomous snakes 14. Here I was petrified of snakes.
But you should be scared of
kangaroos. Yeah.
There's no kangaroos in the United States, but I'm still petrified.
This sounds like a Chip Howard segment. Get them before they get you.
I didn't know kangaroos were like that. They come across so like, hey, buddy, let's box, but we're friends.
Yeah.
Right? Don't they look like they'll box you like, oh, let's shadow box. But let's go have a beer together.
They're the Mike Tyson of the animal kingdom.
They'll bite your ear off.
They will if you're not careful.
Huh. Anyway.
They're going to eat your children.
She has no idea what you're talking about right there.
I know.
Zero idea. All right.
That's got to be the worst Mike Tyson
impression
impression ever.
That was not good at all. So let's talk a little bit about the defensive issues, OB. I'm going to read this. So Biglow, who sends me info all the time, he's a coach. He watched the film again, and when we're talking about the secondary, this is his breakdown. And I'm going to say props to us, props to the human race for he writes eloquently the way a coach would see it, but it's something we have verbalized on this show before. I watched it again. People are writing to Barry, but I honestly think the bigger issue is that we only have one true free safety. Bryce, anytime they got Damani or Jacoby to roll deep instead of Bryce, they took a shot and were successful at doing so. If Bryce rolled deep, they weren't. We seem to be a primarily one deep safety team either by design or by necessity. He goes on to say a little bit more. But basically, when it comes to coverage, Bryce Anderson, they didn't test as much. They did test the others.
Well, and if they tested him, he got the he got the interception. That play, the way it was developed, he read it perfectly, and then he attacked it like a rabid kangaroo in the bush, and he got that interception. And I feel like, of course, I'm not at practice every day, so this is an uneducated opinion here, but I feel like maybe next year the best move is to move Bryce Anderson to safety as an old-fashioned free safety, because you need a ball hawk back there, and he has speed and skills. But they're not going to do that this year at this point. But it seemed to me it'd be easier. I don't know, but it'd be easier.
But why not?
Why not this year?
No, why not this year?
At the midway point, you're going to just overhaul your
I don't know.
secondary?
If it keeps getting bad, you got to do something different.
Well, let's see what they do. Here's the bottom line, and this is, again, make you want to bang your head against the wall. Despite all the issues last week, Alabama scored 24 points. You should win when your opponent only scores 24 points. I'm talking about the offense.
Yeah.
I know there was 26, but
Yep.
So, but look, if they said, hey, we're going to start playing Bryce more back there, is it great? And maybe try Kerr or Deuce or somebody in that nickel spot. But, typically you look for that, like I say, I'm calling it the old-fashioned free safety because a lot of teams now play two and they're interchange.
Yep.
They're not. But it was always that guy could make up a lot of ground, help out on deep coverage. I don't see a lot of help on deep coverage.
Jado on the YouTube page says, by the way, can you go subscribe to that page? This week has been very slow. I've noticed that our audience is kind of like me.
Yeah, everybody. Again, the
wind
was punched out.
Yeah,
of everybody last week.
and we're done with like moral victory. Like, who cares? Like, win. Yeah, win. Jado on the YouTube page says, do Milton stats matter? Milroe wasn't amazing by the numbers, then played us.
Right. That's
the
true.
question is, will we let it happen again?
Well, that's true because I've seen so many times over the years where like A&M goes to play a team that's terrible in run defense, and for whatever reason A&M can't run the ball, right? Or a team that's terrible in in pass offense, and suddenly they play A&M and they're throwing the ball around. And you can say what you want about Jalen Milroe, but in 2 games against Texas A&M, the kid's thrown 6 touchdown passes. If he could play A&M every week, based on what we've seen, he'd be a Heisman Trophy winner.
On the YouTube page, there's a question about, is it true we haven't won a true top 25 road game since 2016? I know that Jimbo Fisher has not won a true top 25 road game since 2016.
Wow, I haven't gone back and looked at that. Who would that 2016? Who would that have been? The true road game
For Florida State?
No, I'm saying for A&M.
For A&M, okay.
Maybe
I don't know the stat for
maybe
A&M.
Florida?
I've seen that stat attributed to Jimbo. I haven't seen it for A&M.
I remember they beat Florida. I don't know if Florida was good that year.
I'll figure it out for y'all real quick.
Thank you, yeah. The bottom line is, this group, and there's still some folks that have been here since 21, right? There's some dudes. Layden, Anais, Damani, right? We got some guys. Max Wright. This group hasn't won on the road since?
A true road game since October 16th, 2021 against Missouri. Devon A-Chain had a huge game in that one, as memory serves.
So, I can make the argument why A&M will win and win convincingly.
They have better talent. You have better football players across the board than Tennessee does.
I do worry about what Tennessee does well versus what we struggle with. And I know I gave you the numbers earlier about throwing deep and that stuff. But I worry about it because I've watched these games the last 2.5 years, and I'm like, I feel like a lot of times it's the same script.
Yeah.
And it's not just mistakes, it's not just the mental mistakes. It's just one thing goes wrong here, one thing. If we make this play, the game's over.
It's always if we had done this. In fact, you know how so many teams have an adjective in their nickname? Fighting Irish, Fighting Illini, Golden Hurricane. I'm almost to the point where, and today's game matching the Tennessee Volunteers and the Texas A&M if we Aggies.
Nick's got the numbers for us.
Yeah, so the last true ranked road win was on November 8th, 2014. The Aggies took down number 3 Auburn at Jordan.
What was that score?
The score was 41-38.
Yeah, I was there, and you know how they won that game?
Dropped the snap.
They dropped the snap at the 1-yard line. No, was it a bad exchange, or did Nick Marshall just drop the snap?
I think he just dropped it, if I remember correctly.
And I can't remember. It was a defensive tackle from California recovered on the 1, and then they got the ball back, and they were like at the A&M 30 or 35, and they had a quick snap when the quarterback wasn't ready for it. Alonzo Williams, was that his name?
Is it really 2014? Like, you're sure?
I'm positive.
And that was the game where just before the half, and Gabe Bach could tell you this, I said, you know what? I've got a feeling that Myles Garrett's going to block this field goal, and they're going to take it back for a touchdown. And I swear, if you had Gabe here, he would testify. Myles blocked it. DeShazer Everett picked it up. Touchdown. They're up like 35-17 or something at half because of that. And Gabe was like, what else can you tell us about the future?
Well,
And then Kyle Allen could do nothing in the second half, and they were going to blow that game until they had big problems in the second.
9 years since the last road ranked win.
Yes, and you're incredibly lucky to win that one. I think Leanna has a comment.
I think in 2016 we also beat Auburn at theirs as well, and they were ranked 24th.
Okay,
really?
Yeah.
Well, Nick?
September 17th.
Was that
we won 29-16?
That was Travion Williams with like an 87-yard touchdown run to nail it down after, I want to say it was a fourth down stop by Deshaun Hall on 4th and 1.
According to TexAgs, Auburn was not ranked. I don't know what you're looking at, Leanna.
Mine's just the NCAA.
Wow, no.
Mine's just the NCAA football. It says they were ranked 24th.
Well, could be.
But I don't,
2016 Texas. I can't believe we're doing this on the air. Gosh. Oh, my gosh, guys.
Yeah, 29
I'm looking at the 2016 schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and Texas A&M versus Auburn as it's loading up as slow as possible.
I bet it is 20. They were 24 because early in the year.
They took on Auburn, and according to A&M's website, Auburn not ranked.
I just have NCAA football. Sorry,
So,
guys.
It's okay. This is
Either
this
way,
for the
it's
record.
been a while.
It's been a minute.
That's the point.
It
we're
hasn't
getting
been
at.
since I've been in town. How about that?
How about they put an end? Just put an end to all these
Stats.
dubious streaks this week by not only playing well physically, but playing well, playing smart, playing well mentally. No busted assignments, clean game. You can play clean, you get a clean sweep of this season. That's how much it's about A&M.
Yep.
Play clean, you get a clean sweep. I just made that up.
By the way, we're going to hit a break here. We'll come back with more, with one last segment here on the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We're talking Charge apparel, maroon polo, gray polo, whatever polo you're looking for. Go to the website. The website is thechargeapparel.com and take a look at their clothing. By the way, it's not just polos. We're talking tees, too. They're the best, classy. They fit amazing, and the crew that works over there just good old Aggies, good dudes, good Aggies. By the way, Travis and Tucker met here at A&M when they were in the Corps. Then they went to the military, and then after the military, they started the Charge Apparel because they wanted to honor the military. And they don't just do that because the clothing is honored to them. It's because 12% of their total sales go to veteran nonprofit partners with a focus on mental health initiative. An ode to the 12th man, no doubt about that. And I've already told you many, many times that the clothing is just top notch, right? The fabric that they use is out of this world. It'll fit you perfectly no matter what your size is, how big, small you are. It fits great. The tees are awesome. The polos are amazing. Go check them out. You will love it. It is the Charge Apparel. Check it out, thechargeapparel.com, or find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or on X, The Charge Brand. Go check out The Charge Apparel. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's listen to the soundbite from about Anaya Smith and Terry and Arnold, who says it, and it's not bad.
Okay,
right? But
Victor goes to spoils.
Smile. He was on On3's podcast, so with Andy Staples. Let's check it out.
And as Evan was jogging on the field, he smiled at me. So then, as he smiled, I looked at Evan. I was like, "It's gonna be a long day today, E. It's gonna be a long day today." Then he looked back at me. He was like, "It's gonna be a long day today for you." So just those kind of things. And actually, when I was playing guarding Anais, I thought he was gonna obviously like set the tone. I'm waiting for him to say something off the rip. Never said nothing. And we got into like a pushing and shoving match on the block. He like, I'm coming. And then we lined up. This was like I think a second down when I lined up in the slot. I'm playing the 6 yards. I'm in man-to-man. As I'm in man-to-man, I'm looking. I'm like, I'm in man-to-man. It's you versus me. And then like you could tell when he got the false start penalty when he jumped, I said, you scared. You scared of me. You're scared. Like, I was like, you scared. So just like those little subliminal messages. And then even on the chop ball, like when he beat me on the chop, after I made the play, before I celebrated when he caught right there, I said, oh, you almost had it. Got to be quicker than that.
Just having fun with it. I mean,
but again,
Anias had a huge game.
Right. And he said, well, I got beat. And he made a great play, which I guess he did. But if he got beat, if the pass had been – it wasn't because of anything you did against Anias. Anias beat your ass, basically.
Yeah.
But receivers got to count on his quarterback to get the ball there.
Olin, you got a listener from Alabama.
Okay.
Good morning to you both and Olin. I appreciate everything that you do. So you get the name.
Okay.
I'm getting to watch the program today as I take a vacation day to watch my daughter's volleyball match.
I hope she does well.
I hope so too. Randy in North Alabama.
Okay.
Good old
Probably
Randy.
up around there in Huntsville. Huntsville's a nice town. Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
Very nice town.
Olin, you're a man of the people.
I try to be.
And we the people.
I'm part of the great unwashed, even though I did shower this morning.
Let me know about the new iPhone, all right, Steve?
There's a new one?
We will come back without Olin. Go hour's done.
On.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio. Esteban McGee on a mobile. The real Stephen McGee next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we are back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little with Stephen McGee. Let's go straight to the hotline. I know Stephen is traveling, so we got him on the phone this morning to break things down. Stephen, good morning, buddy.
Hey, brother. How we doing?
Good, man. I know it's awkward to be driving with some folks and do a radio show. Been there. I know how it is. But let's power through. Stephen, I want to do a little buy, sell, lease with you. Remaining road games, Stephen. Remaining road games. Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU. Winnable games, buy, sell, lease. Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the team I've watched the least of those three would be Tennessee. I don't know what we're going to get. I feel pretty confident they're not the same team they were last year. So I think I would start with LSU. I'd probably buy them just because the defense is so suspect, and we seem to have their number recently. I'll probably lease Tennessee, and I'm going to sell Ole Miss just because I know Lane Kiffin can dial it up in the pass game, and that concerns me greatly on the back end.
Yeah. I think I would buy Ole Miss, honestly, of the three opponents. I don't know why. I do know why. I'm very scared about winning in Baton Rouge. I don't think that's the sell. I don't think they can. And I mean, I'm not saying they can't, but that's the hardest one and I think this one's winnable. But again, they got to prove it to me. If they get past this one, I'll feel much better about Ole Miss. Let's move on. How do they not allow what happened Saturday to affect them this Saturday?
It's a real challenge. I think that as much as they like to pretend like and say publicly that they blocked out all the outsiders, there's a lot of ways for those voices to creep in. The social media nowadays, these guys are very in tune to the negativity surrounding the outcome of that football game. The pressure's dialed up. But, I think that you just have to have the mentality to focus on what you need to do to be successful. I think you just got to tune into your job each day. What's the process look like? I think when you're really in tune to that, it does help block out all the other things outside. But there's no doubt it's going to be a challenge. Going on the road with those opponents, it's going to be a difficult win. And I think the ingredients that we laid out last week going into Alabama are going to continue. I mean, you've got to protect the football, and you've got to eliminate negative. Defensively, you've got to be able to get after the quarterback.
Talking to our QB1, Stephen McGee, Paragon Financials. I know you haven't watched a lot of Tennessee, but let's just kind of compare the QBs if we can for a moment. What you've seen over the last couple years from Joe Milton and what you've seen from Max so far.
Yeah, I think the thing that jumps out from Milton, right? I mean, it's an elite level arm, and I think it's wow a lot of people, but I would never confuse arm strength with great quarterback play. And so I think that he has been prone to turn the football over, and if you can confuse him with looks defensively and get around him, I think he will turn it over potentially. And with our defensive line, I'm optimistic that can happen. On the other side, Max probably win the wave, so to speak. The quarterbacks go through highs and lows, and when you win, you get way too much credit, and when you lose, you get way too much blame. I think coming off last week, Max is probably unfairly so, getting a little bit too much criticism. He's a really good football player, but the things to watch for Max, in my opinion, are getting games. I think with this offensive line and just knowing the teams are going to try to pressure, you've got to know where your quick answer is. And the second thing, and probably most importantly, is just the turnovers. I feel like those have continued to play Max in big football games. And, last week it was the untimely interception, which was a great play on their part, and then the safety. You just can't take those sacks. You've got to find a way to get the football out. That's going to be huge this week.
Steven, we're going to hang up and try you again. We're getting a lot of feedback every few seconds from your end, so we're going to try it one more time. We'll call you here in a moment and try to get it going to finish out the segment. That is Stephen McGee, our QB1 Paragon Financial. As we're waiting to do that, let's get to some text messages out there. We go to Leanna Davidson. I know we got Jess out there and Jonathan in Houston who had a couple texts, and I know there's some other ones as well.
Yeah, so Jess here, I'm concerned about the mistakes we can make due to the atmosphere there, shooting ourselves in our already non-existent foot.
Say that again, please.
Shooting ourselves in our already non-existent foot.
No, just
the whole text.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the mistakes we make. Okay, I got you.
Due to
Okay,
the
I just
atmosphere,
didn't hear that
My
first
bad.
part. Okay, look, there's a reason that Olin has been complaining about the mistakes, right? They cost you games in the SEC. If you look at how many one-score losses A&M's had over the last couple of years, right? Like, it does come down. Now, there are several plays you can point at, but it does come down to executing more often than not, right? Against Alabama, there's a handful of plays that they would have just done one little thing differently, it would have felt better. We go back to the hotline. Stephen McGee is back with us. We're going to try it again as he is traveling here. Stephen, what do you think's up with the offense? Like, 17 first-half points looks great in theory, right? But it hasn't been that offense I think that we expected, and I know part of it is Connor's not out there, but even some of the play calling, the creativity, I haven't seen it. Have you seen something different from our offense? What is lacking?
Well, maybe your opinion's a little different than mine, but I felt like it was two different offenses. Like the first half last week, it looked really, really good. We were creative. We were moving the pocket. We ran the football. We threw it effectively. But in the second half, I just felt like we had Max standing in the pocket, a lot of 5, 7-step timing passes. And the defensive line for Alabama was able to tee off. They knew where he was going to be in the pocket, and those plays take longer to develop. We didn't have a lot of quick answers, getting the ball out of his hand, quick game, up-tempo, try to get the defense off balance by using a little bit of movement in the pocket and then that tempo to get them tired, and then you're able to take your shot. So it's difficult to start drives with 5 and 7-step timing passes when you got a fresh defensive line. So, certainly it seemed that way. It's always easy to second-guess now in the shoes that we're in, but I think the biggest thing, and I've emphasized this, I know I like to talk a lot about quarterbacks, is one of the greatest strengths of Connor was his ability to get rid of the football. He doesn't take sacks, and it's a unique skill set that people don't often talk about. But great quarterbacks, even on the NFL level, you look at the Bradys, the Brees, Peyton Manning, they don't take sacks. They know where their answers are. So I think that's the next big step for Max.
So how do they help them, Stephen? Like, what can they do with a line that has been suspect? And by the way, Tennessee's defense, I don't think they're Alabama's defense, but they are number 2 in the SEC in sacks. So how do they make life easier for Max in his decision-making?
So I think, timely screen plays, right? So if you call a screen pass on 3rd and long, they're anticipating that. They're not going to be effective. But a screen pass on 1st down, 2nd down, when you're getting pressure looks, that's an easy way to get chunk yardage versus pressure. And we talk about the quick game, those 3-step those 3-step timing passes where the ball is just catch and throw with a lot of really good answers built in there. And then you've got to be able to run the football. I mean, that's the easy one. But again, it's been a little bit hit or miss, but you've got some really capable runners. And so you've got to mix up looks in the run game as well. So I think screen passes, quick game, and being able to run the football help Max a lot. And then I think when you do take your shots, you've got to be smart with the football. You can't force it, and you can't sit in the pocket forever. You got to trust your feet. You get 2 hitches, and then the ball's got to come out. So it's not always on the offensive line either. It's quarterbacks trusting their feet and saying, hey, you know what? I really wanted to take this post route here first quarters, but it just didn't happen on time. I'm going to check down my back. Coach, call it again.
Talking to Stephen McGee here on TexAgs Radio. What are you seeing from the line, man? Because Bama definitely got a little more creative in the second half. They changed their front a few times, but the line certainly struggled in that one. It's the worst they've looked.
Yeah, I think at times though the offensive line looks really, really good. I mean, you look at some of the big completions we had, and it's no coincidence that those are the plays where the offensive line had an incredible pocket. It looked like the Great Wall of China. But then at times, the big play late when Max took his sack, it was guys tripping over themselves. And then you had a bust up front. What looked to be the left tackle was a full slide, and a free rusher comes, and all of a sudden it's chaos. You have the interception, right? So I think that you have guys that are young, are putting into new positions that aren't fully on the same page yet. And the good news, though, I think for Aggie fans, is to say, there's not a void of talent. They have ability. They're big. They're physical. They have good feet. It's just a matter of, cleaning up a lot of the mental mistakes. If they get on the right guy, I think they're effective.
Do you think that they targeted Evan enough, or did Alabama take it? Like what? He didn't have the splashy numbers that he had last year in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I went back and I was looking at it, and I'll be honest with you, I thought Alabama's defensive back end did a great job. They really slowed up our pass game. There wasn't a lot of separation on a lot of plays when they were in man-to-man coverage. I thought that when they did play man, Evan didn't have those breakaway plays you would expect, where he was just running scot-free. Now, he did have a couple. But at the end of the day, I think he's a guy that even whenever he's not wide open, you just throw it in his vicinity and he's going to come down and make plays, right? So I think that's just going to continue to build. Max is going to continue to trust him. And, when you get those one-on-one opportunities and they're stacking the box, they're bringing pressure, whatever it is, you've got to make a defense pay when they go one-on-one to your true X wide receiver, the game changer. And that's certainly Evan Stewart.
Then again, though, Aniyah Smith, even though he didn't get that touchdown, which I thought he did, had a spectacular performance again against Alabama.
Yeah, Aniyah Smith is just he's probably one of my favorite football players of the last decade plus at A&M. He's just a consummate team guy. I mean, you could put him in at linebacker this week, and he would give you everything he had. He's a winner. But he's got so much ability with the ball in his hands, the yards after catch, kick game, pass game. He does it all, right? And he is a difference maker. And I think that you'll continue to see him be that security blanket for Max whenever we need a big play. I think he's going to look to Aniyah because he trusts that he's going to get open and make a play. And we've seen that the last couple of weeks when we really needed it, and Aniyah has stepped up.
Are you okay with the play calling, Stephen?
It's I will say that I've been really pleased with Petrino. I really have. I like what we've done. We've done different personnel groups, but I just, like I said, I felt like we were a little stagnant in the second half. That was the first time I was kind of like, what really have we done to confuse Alabama? Not many motions, not many shifts. Didn't move the pocket. And it really allowed their defense, in my opinion, to heal. Didn't do a great job of exposing some of their weakness. So, it's a big week. All right? It goes without saying. You've got to make right. This is a must-win football game for Texas A&M, this football program in general. So, offensively, we got to get it done.
So, what's the key against Tennessee?
Protecting the football. I think the team that turns the football over the least amount is going to win this game. And I think their quarterback is prone to turnovers as well. And that was a stat I focused on against Alabama. And I think, unfortunately, we were the last team to turn that football over to safety, and it was very, very costly. So protecting the football offensively, I think we're going to score points. We'll move the football. We got to avoid negative plays, right? I mean, just stupid penalties, defensively allowing their offense to continue drives on third down, get a stupid holding call, get a roughing the passer. Those type of things are definitely something I would look for. And then in the pocket, we've got to avoid negative plays. Can't take sacks, right? And so I think if you stay in front of the chains, you protect the football, and then you get after their quarterback, we're gonna win this football game. But those have been some pretty big question marks.
Stephen, I'll close it out with this question. What position group has to be elite? And I'll follow that up with that can be elite.
It's a great point. Well, with me, it's the defensive line. I mean, I think that big football games, against good SEC football teams are going to be won in the trenches. And I felt like Alabama last week won in the trenches, both offensive line and defensive line. We did not get home in the second half consistently. I felt like their offensive line did a great job. And on the flip side, I felt like they started to get home defensively in the second half. So you really see that. Whose offensive line, whose defensive line is going to step up in the second half? For me, it's this A&M defensive line. A lot of ability up there and a lot of depth, which would lead you to believe that you should be strong in the fourth quarter, third quarter. That's where my focus is. If we can get home, get 8-9 sacks, we're going to win football games, right? It's just hard for offenses to move the football when they're getting that much pressure on their quarterback. So this Texas A&M defensive line has to get it done this week.
I'm going to follow it up, actually, because would you say they were elite last week and it didn't matter? I guess to me, it's more the offensive line, right? Because if you're talking about winning the trenches, I think the defense carried their part of it, but the O-line did not.
They did. I agree. Yeah, I think for the most part in the game that the defense played really, really well. I mean, they shut down their run game completely. So you got to tip your hat to them. But to me, it's about getting after the quarterback. So did we consistently get after their quarterback in the second half? And a guy that I think is below average. And he made some good throws, certainly, but he shouldn't throw for 320 yards. And that's my concern is when you have a suspect back end of the defense, if you're not getting home on a quarterback that can throw the football and with an offensive coordinator that you know can dial it up, therein lies a problem because you're going to be chasing the scoreboard. And our offense has been hit or miss. So, yes, our offensive line did not get it done, but I thought defensively we did to a certain extent, but to me it's more about getting after the quarterback.
And Stephen, to be fair, I did say that can be elite, and I don't know if we've seen an elite offensive line in the last couple of years.
I agree. Yeah, the best offensive line we had was at year 2 of Jimbo, and they just were such a cohesive unit, and it was phenomenal. Not the most talented group, but boy, they worked so well together. I just don't think we're there. I think we've had so many moving parts, pieces, guys in, guys out, young guys. It's been hard to get those 4th and 5th year seniors that work really well together.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen, man. Enjoy your travels. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, Dave. Talk to you soon, buddy. Bye.
Later. Stephen McGee there on the hotline. And here's the thing, like as I was saying there, the question is, and you guys can call or text in if you want, 979-693-1150. What has to be elite that can be elite? And when I answer that question, I kind of just already expect the defensive line to be elite, right? Like, again, do what you've been doing. Don't allow running, and that's what Tennessee wants to do, and get to the quarterback, which is going to be hard against Joe Milton. So to Stephen's point, like if they're elite, that quarterback's only gone down 5 times. Is it because of the quality of team they played against? Is it because he gets gets rid of the ball quickly? That could all be a part of the conversation. But as I'm like talking out loud, like, can Max Johnson have an elite performance in this game? Yeah. I think if the defense, let me rephrase that. If the defensive line, the front, right, and I bring in the linebackers in that conversation, just do what they do. They don't. To expect 5, 6, 7, 8 sacks a game is not a realistic formula to go through this SEC season. Although it's been great the last few weeks to watch it, right? But like to have them again, we're taking on a team that gets rid of the ball quickly. They're very successful at throwing these short passes, which can eat up A&M. I know we worry about the long passes, but how many long passes are they going to complete against A&M to win games, right? Like even Bama, who completed long passes, scored the 24 points that we talked about. So as we continue down that thought, who has to be elite that can be elite? Can Max be elite in a game? Yeah, he can. Can the wide receiver group, right, have a performance where it's not just Anias or not just Evan? We're talking about the group be elite. Evan, Anias, Noah, right? Can they be elite? Is it them? Is it potentially even, I don't know. I mean, I don't expect the cornerbacks or the defensive backs to be elite, to carry the weight. I think you got to get what you get from your defensive line, which has become the team's calling card, right? You got to get that, and you have to have elite quarterback play. Protect them, please, guys. Please get rid of the ball quickly. Get it to your playmakers. I want to see more of that, getting the ball to the playmakers. So if you had to ask me who has to be elite, I think Max Johnson has to be elite in this game. I expect the defense to do what they do, and that does not mean getting 6 or 7 sacks. But for A&M to win this game, I think he has to play at an elite level. And then, you know what? Here's one. Coaching's got to be elite. Let's be on point with our play calling, with our mistakes, with our timeouts, end of game decisions, when we punt, when we don't like. You haven't run on the road in so long. Can you make the right plays or the right calls when it matters? We'll talk about that on the other side. If you want to call in, 979-693-1150. Who has to be elite this weekend for A&M to win? It may be the defensive line, but I think it's got to go deeper than that, guys. Let's talk about some sponsorship and vendor opportunities with the Association of Former Students. So if your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with other Aggies, then you got to check out the Association of Former Students. So the association brings Aggies of all ages together during events held throughout the year. Marquee events like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, Gathering, they all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of all those great attendees out there. And all their events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote all your brands. So options include title sponsoring, naming, on-site presence and activation, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There are also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by 230,000 people, actually more than that number right there. Is your business ready to engage with other Aggies? Well, then choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information and options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. Again, that is the Association of Former Students. All righty, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So who has to be elite in this game for A&M to win? I asked the people, and they're giving some answers on the text line and also on the YouTube chat. Who has to be elite this weekend? My answer is I expect the defense to be, or the defensive front to be elite. So I need somebody else to be elite. And I'm going to give you two answers. And my answers are pretty simple. Coaching has to be elite. Quarterback has to be elite to win on the road at a place that they haven't lost in a couple years, right? Let's go and check in with Nick Savage to see if he's got an answer for us. Nick, I asked you the same question. I'm asking the audience. Who has to be elite for A&M to win this weekend?
Yeah, well, I'm going to steal a little bit of Drew's answer on our YouTube chat, but he kind of mentioned that what happened to feed the studs, you know? And I know that is still the goal every week, but, you know, we haven't seen Ja'Day Walker, you know, in a bit. Noah Thomas, obviously, he's been dealing with a whole lot outside of football, so you can't really fault him, you know. But you'd imagine he'd start to show up again, you know, getting it as much as he can to Evan Stewart, just taking shots down the field. Reuben Owens, Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss. I'm not saying they all have to be elite, but I'd like to see the offense kind of getting back to distributing the ball to all the playmakers that they have. I mean, give everyone the ball, you know what I mean? So when it comes to, I guess, who's going to be elite, as you kind of mentioned, I think it's the obvious choice is the D-line. I don't think it's too crazy to be expecting, you know, 3 to 5 sacks a week, because that's what they've done consistently now on, 4 weeks in a row now. So, like, why can't we expect that from them?
The reason I worry about that, Nick, is because, like, you did it against Auburn because they were terrible, right? Like, and they couldn't pass, so they were just sitting ducks. And they had given up some sacks. Arkansas,
same deal, kind of,
had given up a bunch of sacks. Alabama had given up a bunch of sacks. You're about to take on a team that's given up 6 sacks as a team and 5 as Joe Milton as the quarterback. So that, again, I know some of it can be the teams you face, but we're in the middle of the season, guys. Like, it is what it is. Your defensive backfield's struggling this year. That is what it is. It can get better. We've seen it get better. Is it going to get better too late?
But my point is, David, is, I mean, the defensive line, I get it, against maybe not the best offensive lines, but they've showed you what they are.
Yeah.
And they're elite. So I think, I'm just saying, I don't think it's too crazy to expect 2 to 4 sacks a game, maybe
I
more.
agree.
Not, obviously can't expect them to get 7+. That's insane. But, I mean, I think they are going to be elite. And I guess I never really answered your question, but who needs to be elite? Absolutely, Max Johnson. If the Aggies get an elite game out of him, I think they can handle business easily in Tennessee. But you know, what do you think that looks like, David? I mean,
look,
no turnovers, 1. You start there.
You throw 330, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, wow,
right,
love it.
That's, I mean, I'm
yeah,
serious.
No, that's it.
No interception, no turnover. How about a clean game? If Max goes for 330, which, by the way, he's thrown for that kind of number before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, I know Tennessee's got, I guess, a good defense. I don't know. Like, who they play? Like, they did really well against South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. And look, South Carolina might throw for 400 yards on this team. I don't know. I think they're going to give up a bunch of sacks. But that's so far down the road. To me, I agree with the defense is going to be elite. The front's going to be elite. That I don't, but who has to be elite? Just defense, do what you do. Coaching, let's be elite. Max, let's be elite. You get coaching to not mess up situations. You get, and by the way, I think they can. Like, I'm not out. Like, people love to be out on people. 2 weeks ago, a month ago, everybody was out on DJ Durkin. Then, 3 weeks in a row of awesomeness and like, man, I love this guy. Like, football, college football is just this is what it does, right? A week ago today, we're talking about, dude, we take care of business, which they almost did, but they didn't, so they didn't. A week ago today, the conversation was, this is our opportunity. Now we got to save the season, guys.
Yeah, there's not much room for error.
There is not much room for error. Let's go to Leanna Davison at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know a couple text messages have come in.
Yeah, so Ray in Great Falls says the offensive line has to be elite. They have to pass, block, and blow up Tennessee's D-line.
I mean, yeah, but no. I mean, well, let me rephrase it. Yes, you're right. The offensive line needs to be elite. I just haven't seen an elite offensive line play yet, so it's hard for me to see that happening. So that's why I'm more answering it like something that I think we can see. I think the offensive line can be good. I've seen them be good. I don't know if elite's the word that comes to mind just yet. What else we have? I know Rodney and Franklin's got one.
Yes, we have Rodney and Franklin say, I think the coaches have to be elite. Our players have more than enough talent. It seems to always come down to the calls.
You got to make the right plays too, right? Not only do you feed the studs, you got to, put the studs in a position to make huge plays. Nick, I'm going to read you this because we're going to have Chris Lowe on the program tomorrow from ESPN, and it kind of goes, this quote he has on, I believe it was on the Paul Feinbaum show, kind of goes on what I've been saying all week. Like, this is the game, the fork in the road moment, right? Like, I've been saying that all week long. This is how he kind of explains this game. I think the difference is A&M of still being a 9+ win team and them flirting with 500. It's that type of swing game for the Aggies because if you lose 2 straight, you lose on the road, you still got some tough games remaining. You wonder where this team is emotionally and gets to. I was there last week, had a chance to go through the walkthrough on Friday, still was a very confident team. There's no doubt in my mind that they thought they were going to win that football game against Alabama. Staff, players, everybody. But again, that just kind of illustrates how huge this game is going to be.
Yep. And the thing that does worry me is one, A&M hasn't won a true road game in a while, and plus add on true ranked road game in a while. Tennessee's on a 13, 14 game home winning 12 game winning streak. So, I mean, you got a lot of trends not going in your favor, but I mean, all that's out the window. It doesn't matter. You're right. This is the fork in the road when it comes to, possibly 10-2 at the high end, or don't even want to think about the low end. But I mean, I think they're more than capable of taking the win,
Bro, I just broed you. Bro, okay. Check it out.
It's better than little buddy.
Little buddy. Broseph, if they win this game, right? They're again, we do the what if scenario, and that's what we do on talk radio, so just deal with it for a minute. They'll be favored against South Carolina at home.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll be favored at Ole Miss because Ole Miss,
so.
But if you go to Tennessee and win in that atmosphere, I think you have a lot more confidence going to Ole Miss. Do you
Should
not?
be ranked next week if A&M goes and wins on the road against Tennessee.
Right. Mississippi State, you should win.
Should win. ACU, obviously.
ACU, you should win. And look, I'm not saying should win at LSU ever, right? Like, there's no should wins at LSU when you haven't done it since 1990, whatever. But, again, if you win at Tennessee, you feel better about Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
If you win at Tennessee, there is a world where you could be playing at LSU for 10 wins.
And absolutely.
Or 9 wins.
In that game, if LSU has showed us anything, that's going to be a freaking track meet, man. That's going to be a 40-40, 50-50 game, which will be a lot of fun, but very stressful.
But to Chris Lowe's point, again, we'll have him on the show tomorrow at 9 o'clock. To Chris Lowe's point, you lose this game, then what?
Different story, yeah.
Because then South Carolina becomes must-win, and Ole Miss, because they all become must-wins.
Yeah.
It sounded like I was hyperventilating there. I apologize.
Okay. It's okay, bro.
Did you just bro me on the show that I host?
Yeah.
I was just doing that to save some time to see who's the spot we're doing right here. Brazos Running Company. Our good friends at Brazos Running Company.
I bought some shoes from there before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind?
Some Hokas.
I knew you were going to say Hoka. I just knew. In the back of my mind, I was like, this guy's a Hoka guy.
Mm-hmm.
Brazos Running Company, located in Century Square, locally owned, Aggie-owned, operated specialty running store with an outstanding selection of running gear and shoes, including sought-after brands like Brooks, On, and Hoka. If you're a runner, hey, we just talked about Hoka. If you're a runner, walker, or interested in fitness at all, the right shoe makes all the difference in the world. And at Brazos Running Company, they're passionate about running and finding the right shoe for you. They've got some great brands to highlight, folks, like Birkenstock. They also have Viore. People love Viore. Billy's all in on the Viore train, one of the hottest athletic brands out there. Remember, it's never too early to check off some of that holiday shopping at Brazos Running Company. Brazos Running Company, located in Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Go check out the Brazos Running Company. Negative Nancy returns, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline, Aaron Torres. Aaron Torres online, Fox Sports Radio, and probably working out at the moment. AT, good morning, buddy.
David, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. I saw that you went after Jimbo this weekend. You were not pleased with A&M.
No, listen, I did listen to a little bit of your post game with Brandon Leone and CT, and I did. I think I was pretty critical because I think it was the emotion. I sound like I'm a fan, but it's the emotion of year 6. Obviously, I thought he should have gone for it on 4th down late in the 3rd quarter. I know it's been analyzed and overanalyzed, and obviously the final possession or so, in the red zone, just thought it wasn't his finest moment. And, I just think, on the one hand, I thought, this was a moment. You're at home. The SEC West is on the line. You should have gone for it. I've heard others that have said, if he had gone for it and missed it, he would have gotten just as much criticism. And I think, as I turn my attention to both, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and then, of course, Arkansas, Alabama, I'm not saying that, there's moral victories in college football, but I think there were probably some more positives than I realized. The run defense was still really, really, really good last week. And so, I think I was very critical on Sunday, Monday, and then, you look back on everything Tuesday, Wednesday, and start to look ahead, and you realize that maybe there are still some positives to take out. So, I don't know if I acted like a fan, even though I am not a Texas A&M fan, but I guess I think it's fair to say I was pretty critical on Sunday and Monday.
But Aaron, you know as well as I do, this is a weird sport, man, right? College football, the roller coaster. One week you feel like the thing that I was disappointed about was A&M had an opportunity to knock on the door and say, hey, we're here and we're not going anywhere. And look, there's a lot of season even afterward. But what happens if A&M goes on the road, defeats Tennessee handily, Bama somewhere loses down the stretch, and then that Bama Tennessee LSU game later becomes a de facto opportunity for A&M to get right back in the mix, because then they would be able to, what I'm saying? So there's still so much to be played. Yeah. But that being said, A&M hasn't won on the road in forever. So what do they got to do this weekend?
Well, first of all, they got to stop the run, because I think, and I know you guys, I'm sure, have dove into Tennessee all week. By the way, I don't know if doven is a word.
Not a
I guess
word.
You just have dove in. Not a word. Okay, good. Good start by me this morning. Yeah, I didn't work out today, and maybe my brain is not firing like it normally does at this time. But so, long story short, I think you got to stop the run, because I think we think of Josh Heupel and what Tennessee was last year with Hendon Hooker, and I thought Hendon Hooker, should have been in New York for the Heisman Trophy celebration, and he was special last year. And obviously, I know A&M didn't see him last year, but we all watched on TV this year. I think Josh Heupel knows he doesn't have Hendon Hooker, and they are a very good run team, and they're actually a better defensive team than people think. And so, as weird as it sounds, coming off a week where Jalen Milroe had a breakout game against Texas A&M secondary, I think you got to take away the run and make Joe Milton prove that he can make the throws, that he has not been able to make through the early part of his career. So it'll be an interesting matchup, and I think for people who haven't seen a ton of Tennessee and they haven't had a ton of super high-profile games outside of that Florida game, they're good, they're ranked, they're in the top 25 as they should be, but they are a completely different team than the one we saw last year in terms of how they've had success so far.
So what does a win do for A&M, and what does a loss do for A&M? Like, just give me both scenarios, how you see what could happen afterward. And again, a lot of football, but I think there's two different storylines that will put A&M on the path of, depending on what happens there.
It's exactly what you said probably about 3 or 4 minutes ago, David. It's the ebbs and flows, the roller coaster of college football. Listen, if you beat Tennessee, then you're right back in the mix for just about everything. Now, you would need some breaks to get to Atlanta, but you're right back in the conversation for 10-2 and a season that I think everybody wanted before the season started. Now, I will say, if you lose this game, it's exactly what you just said, David, is one, haven't won it on the road forever. So if you've lost at Miami and you've lost at Tennessee, even if Miami's maybe a little bit better than people thought, Then all of a sudden you got to look at LSU late in the year. You got to look at Ole Miss and say, well, we can't feel pretty good about that. And then I think in the bigger picture, you lose this, you go to 4-3. I could be mistaken, but I believe you guys have a bye next week. So you're looking at 4-3, 2-game losing streak heading into the bye. And all of a sudden, again, I think a realistic 8-4, 7-5 is in play. And that is a standard that, you would be able to gauge the fan base better than me, but I don't think it's acceptable for this year. So, I don't think it's hyperbole to say it is. I think you could argue for just about anybody, it's as important of a game as anybody has this weekend. I mean, you look at the big ones. I mean, even Oregon and Washington, if they lose that game, their pathways are still ahead for the seasons that they want. Same with if USC lost at Notre Dame or whatever. But if Texas A&M loses to Tennessee, and obviously they're a slight underdog last time I looked, it opens up a wild pathway to what could be like there's door number one, and then it gets very dark behind door number two.
What did you think about Mark Stoops' comments there for Kentucky, kind of doing what we've seen coaches do the last couple of years, but did you think he crossed the line?
I absolutely thought he crossed the line, David. And, I defended Jimbo Fisher 6-8 months ago. Well, was it about 18 months ago, whatever it was, when Nick Saban said what he said. But Mark Stoops was different. I don't think Kirby Smart needed defending necessarily. But what stood out to me about the Mark Stoops comments, and I don't think, I saw people say like, oh, it's no big deal. Stop making something out of nothing. It's like, no, it's a big deal because, first of all, you're paid $9 million a year. Take some accountability for your team not being ready to play. That's one. I mean, I didn't hear Jimbo Fisher's press conference, but I mean, imagine if he came to the podium on Saturday after you lose that heartbreaker at home. Oh, it's NIL. Well, don't blame me. It's NIL. Like, you can see apoplectic. But I think the other part that I don't think enough people have acknowledged is, one, you're throwing your fans under the bus, but two, and this is the important part, you're throwing your own players under the bus. I mean, he basically said, whether he intended to or not, he basically said, those 85 guys in my locker room aren't good enough. And I'm telling you right now, people can say it's not a big deal. I guarantee, I would bet money if I could, that either Mark Stoops or certainly Mark Stoops' assistants took some phone calls, probably from some pretty angry parents on whatever it was, Monday night, Tuesday, whenever those comments came out. Because I don't think that was necessarily his intention. But he basically said, my 85 are simply not good enough right now. And again, I think there's a lot of parents that are probably sitting there saying, well, wait a second now. My son's killing it for you. Everybody doesn't have great NIL deals. So, we're playing for a scholarship and room and board, whatever. Like, you get the point. But I don't think that has been talked about enough, is that whether it was intentional or not, he kind of threw his players under the bus. And like I said, I don't know if every player was offended. I certainly probably would guess not. But I would guess that probably a handful were. And I would guess for sure there were some angry phone calls from parents the next day.
What SEC coach, and I think I know the answer to this, is the hottest, has the hottest of the hot seats? Is it Sam Pittman? Is it Billy Napier? Is it Sam Pittman again?
Yeah, I don't know if Sam Pittman has the hot seat. I think it's a worth a conversation, though. I mean, what he did to re-elevate that program, I mean, when he took over for Chad Morris, it was the worst program in the SEC. And, so I kind of, I talked about it a little bit on my show this week. I just kind of asked the question, Arkansas is 6-10 in their last 16 games. They're 2-8 in their last 10 SEC games. One of those wins was against Brian Harsin in what was literally his final game as Auburn's head coach. So essentially you're talking about like one legitimate SEC win since the start of last year. And, I don't think it's necessarily a hot seat in the traditional term. I think if Arkansas were to literally lose out, I mean, they have Florida International. So, I mean, I think if you don't win a single SEC game, if you go 3-9, don't win an SEC game, then it's a conversation. But it seems as though, there's a lot of frustration in that fan base right now. But it's one of those deals where I think he will probably, my guess, be given next year. I don't think Dan Enos, the offensive coordinator who is chirping at fans via email, will be back next year. But, it was just a conversation that I had because we can avoid it. We can pretend like this stuff isn't being talked about behind the scenes. But, we all have sources and whatever. And I think that was something, it's kind of a comment that I've kind of gotten from people over the last week or probably 2 weeks, really probably since the A&M game, honestly, is like, hey, just got to keep an eye on Sam Pittman. If this thing goes sideways, if this thing doesn't improve at least a little bit, he might not survive the season.
And what about LSU Auburn? Any thoughts on, Auburn seems to always keep that one close. How do you think that one plays out?
Yeah, I think the thing, and I know Hugh Freeze a little bit, he always kind of tells you how it is. And actually, it's interesting, you can go back to the A&M game. He kind of said in his Monday press conference, he's like, this is the best defensive line we've seen. They have the best third down defense in college football, or I think he did at the time. And it was like, he basically said, we're going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball on this team. And that's exactly what happened. And he kind of said the opposite of LSU this week. He said, this is the best offensive personnel I have seen while I have been in this league. And he admitted, I wasn't here for Joe Burrow, and I haven't seen everybody this season. But I think he kind of admitted that it's going to be a challenge. So LSU, listen, I believe truly, and I truly mean this, I think Jaden Daniels should be in the short conversation for the Heisman. People would say, well, LSU's 4-2, and I would sit there and say, yeah, and they'd be 2-4 if they were getting even average quarterback play instead of elite quarterback play. I mean, he led them last week through an injury. Obviously the Arkansas game, they put up like 500-something yards of total offense. He has been phenomenal. So I do think LSU wins, but I also think I think that Jaden Daniels, as weird as it sounds, because the team is 4-2 and kind of hanging on the fringes of top 25 status, I think that's a team that, I think that's a guy that probably should be getting a little bit more credit than he deserves.
AT, I appreciate you, brother. Talk to you soon.
No problem, David. Have a great week. Go Aggies. Gig 'em. We'll talk next week, okay?
Later, bro. Thank you very much. Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Radio. We'll hit a break. We'll get some final thoughts of this 9 o'clock hour. Then, the fan show. We'll talk about that then. Right now, we're talking about Heritage Films. That is a company that does documentary films. So, for instance, if you are maybe a college athlete that, throws a javelin, let's just say that's what you do, right? And maybe you're from another country, just maybe. And like your family kind of wants to document each of your years of college, right? Do a year flicks. And with year flicks, what you basically get is there's these 20-minute videos, right, that kind of document where you are, Q&As, and you get your freshman year, hey, I did this and this meet, and I did that, and I'm into coffee and whatever. And then sophomore year, I don't like coffee anymore. I'm totally into chai, whatever it may be, right? But all these things that you're into documented over the 4-year period when you're in college, or maybe when you're a 12-year-old to your, high school years, whatever it may be. Chance McClain and Heritage Films does that with year flicks. But he also does the Heritage Film, which are these 2-hour documentaries. I would say more for like the head honcho of the family, but it can be family events, family ranches. It could be anything, right? It can be your fun times with your buddies, playing golf, going hunting, whatever it may be. Have Chance be an eye in the sky and capture those amazing moments in a 2-hour documentary film. The website is heritagefilms.com, yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. It's Heritage Films. All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm going to actually read this tweet before we go to Leanna. Connor O'Gara, a buddy of mine, coming after A&M. If you exclude the 2020 COVID season, Jimbo Fisher's 3-13 in true road games at A&M with 7 consecutive true road losses. Godzilla Kyle on Twitter, always fighting for A&M, says, why would you exclude him? Connor responds, because I don't think playing in front of a scattered crowd of 25,000 fans, that's a third of capacity, should count the same as what he'll see this weekend in Knoxville. Agree and disagree. I don't think you can exclude because it happened. Right? It happened. I saw it. It happened. Hello. Yay. But the more and more removed we get from 2020 and seeing some of the results, the more relevant it becomes. Leanna, you had a text?
Yes, there's lots of discussion on the YouTube chat right now, and Travis Bird says, we need to drop Anias down to running back at times and be Marshall Faulk. Short swing pass out of the backfield. There's lots of agreement with Travis here.
Look, I wanted to see more of that this season. We haven't seen it enough. I think the run game's been okay. Le'Veon's impressed me, but I do want to see our studs get the ball in different ways. All right, when we come back, everybody tune in. Yay, the Fan Show, presented by Gerard Construction, next on TexAgs. right there. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the hour of power.
Yeah.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for the
Fan show.
Fun Show.
Let's do this thing.
Brought to you by Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. They don't just build homes, they build relationships. Learn more at girard-construction.com. Kevin Ross, maybe the most negative of the fan showers. Possibly.
I agree with that, 100%.
Today, not so negative. Matthew Dawson, definitely the youngest of the fan showers.
That I can agree with. Yeah.
Yep, college student here. We're trying to bring in some college students.
New Army.
And Matt Browning is, he's I would say the voice of the fan.
I'm the realist, yeah.
Sometimes you're mean, sometimes you're happy.
Yeah, I'm Jekyll and Hyde, man. You never know.
You never know. And we're not going to do an hour of pity.
No, we're really not. We want to get past last week. We'll talk about it briefly, but then let's move on. Let's move on to what could happen next week.
They're not losing the bye week. All right, so let's do this. Let's start things off with what's on your mind. Kevin Ross, you've been the furthest removed from being on the show. Did I phrase that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Please, what is on your mind?
I think the biggest thing, whether it's the Miami game, whether it's Alabama, just the utter disappointment of this whole season leading up to literally last week, knowing for the first time since we've joined the SEC, the West is wide open. Having a coach this many years, having all these guys that apparently are 4-star, 5-star, which seems to be pretty good, right? And we just seem to do nothing with them. I think that we were so excited about our offense being changed. Nothing really seems like we're moving forward with. There's been a lot of utter disappointment. And I think from the fan side, not X's and O's, just the fan side, this has been probably the hardest year because the first couple of years you always have anticipation, you're always excited and this and that. And it's kind of like what we're talking is this really who we are? And that really hurts if this is who we are. Now, I am going to be positive and I'm excited about the Tennessee game, but I wouldn't be honest and I wouldn't be representing the rest of the 10 million Aggie fans if I didn't say out loud on the show, this may be just who we are as a football team, an organization, as a culture. And if it is, okay, then we just need to settle in, and 8-4 is like hitting a Super Bowl. That's fine. Let's win.
It's not fine.
Let's win halftime.
Not fine at all.
Let's talk about the experience, and let's just move on. But let's quit chasing 10-2, 11-1. So that's how I feel today. I'm happy to be here.
Well, if you worked for me, you'd be fired with that mentality because the Red Sox would have quit a long time ago. You've got to no, we don't. We're not. I know what you.
You're willing to hold me accountable for expectations.
Look at how he did this. He's an artist.
Oh, that's interesting.
He had that planned out.
Hold me accountable.
What an artist
for
right
expectations. Interesting. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Dawson, what is on your mind?
Well, look, aren't we ready? We're ready for it, right? And we're, as fans, we're ready to succeed, right? I mean, third largest attendance in Kyle Field. I was one of the people camping out there since Tuesday, right? We had boys rotating in the tents. Like, we are ready for this as fans.
I want to know how that goes, though. I really do. I'm fascinated.
We could talk about it, but we're ready, and it is very disappointing, to have games like that just slip away. Just slip away, and we can count all the mistakes, right? And if you add them all up, right, and you fix those, right, then you're like, oh, maybe we win this game. But at the same time, that didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. So it is very disappointing. Especially my dad, who's from Alabama, was in town. So, gosh, it just stinks. I mean, we gave him the Calzada game a couple years ago when he was here, but this one stings a little more.
Mr. Browning, just as a reminder, that A&M team had what some people thought was not the best quarterback. And scored 41 points on Alabama. This A&M team got the offensive coordinator, everything, and didn't do that. So I set you up for what's on your mind.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. I mean, obviously, disappointment. We're all disappointed. Everybody's disappointed. It's from conversations I've had. It's across the spectrum. It's pure anger to this is who we are to this and that. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously we're all very disappointed in the game. Like Kevin said, we are at a point where we have invested financially, emotionally, everything else as a fan base, as people who understand what this university is about and all the fantastic things about it, that we just really want to be good at football.
Yep.
And so we've done everything we can. We've brought in We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on facilities and hundreds of millions of dollars on coaching, and we bring in 5 stars across the board. We actually have probably one of the most talented rosters in the country. And now we did face a team similar. I think the difference is that they expect to win. We hope to win. We hope to win. They expect it. That's Bama, and that's who we want to be. We want to be like them. We want to have the success they've had, and we get to finally a point where the hope was so high, because there we go. We're there. Where everything was pointing at it. We even said it. Do you remember we said like keep Joe Milton in the pocket, and we should win the game.
Milroe?
Oh, Joe Milroe. So keep Jalen Milroe in the pocket, and we'll win the game. And
they kept him in the pocket.
We did. At one point, midway through the third quarter, I looked up. They had negative 22 rushing yards. If you had told me that last week, I'd be like, well, yeah, we win that game going away. I mean, I think they ended up with a total of 24 rushing yards. And
by the way, you won the turnover battle too.
Yeah, and we did everything that we could. And again, you go to who's to blame and what this and that. But I mean, and then you think, oh, what if Connor would have been in there? But I don't know if Connor would have had any time. The O-line just couldn't keep Max upright, and the D-line, the front 7. I get it, and I was saying that they're going to have guys running open with the way our defense runs, right? You want Jalen Milroe to try to beat you with his arm, and he did. So hats off to him. The kid came into a hostile environment and played really well. Good for him. But from our standpoint, we're like, dadgummit, when is the other shoe gonna drop? When are we gonna be that team? And we're not that team. And we're not that team right now. But we want to be so bad, and I think that's where the pain and the hope, because after, just like Kevin said, you first couple of years, all right, you got hope. All right, we got Jimbo. He'll start recruiting. He'll get his guys. Once he got his guys, he got this huge recruiting class, the best recruiting class in history. We go 5-7 last year. But hey, all right, we got the talent. The talent's here. They're just young. We got to, they'll turn the page, get better, and it looked like they were doing that. And yeah, I understand the disappointment. I really do. We're all that way.
So Matthew, I'll start with you. How confident are you in this team? But I'm going to phrase it like this. Based on what you feel like today, are they more like a 9-win team, more like a 7-win team? And if they win against Tennessee, are they more like a 9-win team, or are they more 7-5 team?
I won't talk about Tennessee too much, but I mean, if we beat Tennessee, I feel like it's more on the 9-win spectrum. I still think we could only win 8 games. If we lose to Tennessee this week, right, who I don't necessarily think is like the best team in the SEC, right? I think we're all here knowing that. But if we lose that game, there's a really good chance that we go 7-5 here. And man, that just sounds terrible to say. It sounds terrible to say, but that's where we're at when you're looking at the board and you're trying to chalk up wins, chalk up losses. The way with the other teams in the SEC are playing right now, it's like, which by the way, in a quote unquote down year in the SEC, if you're just looking at out of conference stuff, right? And you're going 7-5. I mean, that's man. But I don't know where y'all's heads are at with that. But if we lose Tennessee, like, are we gonna? There's no way we get to 8 wins, right? I mean,
no. I mean, and Nuño, you will always know I'm never a hypocrite. So I laid a bet that we go 7-5 this year before kickoff of this first year.
Okay.
You know why? Because we are ASU, always something university.
I like that.
It is always something. And I think we go into Tennessee, I think we win. I think that the focus is there and we do it. And then we're going to come back and Ole Miss and Mississippi State are going to roll us. I really do. I think that's how we go. It's such a roller coaster. So even if we win this weekend, we know nothing about Tennessee.
What if we blow them out? What if we go there to Rocky Top, you win 30-10? You still feel that way?
If we win 30-10, then I would lose my bet and we're 8-4. I really do. I just don't see the consistency. And when you watch all these other teams that win, their culture, like Matt said it best, they expect to win. We hope.
But that we're talking fans. Those players expected to win
that
game.
They did.
They 100% expected. And the coaching staff 100% expected to win that game. And I think we all, if Anaya scored, we all expected to win that game at that point. Did we not? Didn't it feel like, here we go, 2021
maybe.
again?
Yeah, I mean, it's the...
it was laid out.
Yeah.
And so from my standpoint, it's you go in and if you beat Tennessee, then we're right back into that 10-win column. We are, because we will not face another defense like this one. that we face this weekend. That's what gave us problems. There is not another defensive front outside of Georgia in this entire conference like Alabama's. All right, us, Alabama, and Georgia have the 3 best defensive lines, and that's where we struggled, was that defensive line. I mean, you give Max time, Max will.
Tennessee, number 2 in the SEC in sacks.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the difference is that Alabama got to Max with a 4-man rush, and they were dropping everybody. Nobody was open. Tennessee doesn't do that. They blitz. You're going to have guys open. He's going to have to be quick and accurate, but you're going to have more opportunities to do that. And then Tennessee hasn't seen our defensive line either yet. So
they're not going to run for 230 on this line.
Look, we got so down after Miami, and then we came back. We looked really, really good for 3 games, and then we showed flashes in this game of absolute brilliance. Yeah, we looked really good. And I really don't put it on the defense. I mean, you're going to have guys running open with the way that we play, and especially the way that we defended that Alabama team and tried to let Milroe beat us with his arm, and he did. Kudos to him. Congratulations. You did what we didn't think you could do, and so the defensive scheme will be different. But again, it's what. So I do actually think that there's a possibility there. I mean, it could go any direction. There's no way to know. But the team is good enough to go and beat Tennessee and go and beat Ole Miss and go and beat LSU. It's good enough. The talent's there, but can we do it? And when was the last time we won a true road game?
2021. Jeez,
yeah. So,
and the last time we found out, Nick, remind me, 2014, the last time we beat a ranked road team, a team on the road.
Correct. It was November of 2016.
Come on. Are you serious?
November of 2016, Auburn. The last time.
We should have beaten Georgia at Georgia that time.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, if.
ASU.
Always something university. For all you T-shirt makers out there, throw me a shout.
No.
ASU.
I'm breaking that. Look.
All right, let me ask you this. Are you going to get in the backfield and put a helmet on?
No.
What else can we do as a fan? Think about that.
10 false start penalties. That's what we could have done.
What else can we do?
10
So
false start
let me
penalties.
ask you this. We had, 17 points in the first half.
Yep.
That was fantastic. What a great first half. In the modern college football era, I don't care who you're playing, it is imperative you hit 30 points. You have to be able to hit 30 points in the modern college football era. I don't care who you're playing, and somehow that has always been our struggle.
But remember, Bama didn't get to 30 either. The defense that had their struggles did keep them to 24 points.
Should their offense be as good as our offense?
No.
Exactly. So I don't think they hit 30. We have weapons. We have the gurus, 2 OC
Jermaine
gurus.
Burton looked like Randy Moss.
It's easy when no one's covering you.
Yeah. You had to go there.
You had to go there. All right, so
thought I was the negative one.
Let's try to fix this season, right? How do we rectify the season? If we are working across the street, what are some easy fixes that a fan sees, right? The coaches have their opinions, but as a fan, is it, hey, Max, buddy, I need you on a 3-second clock. You got to get rid of the ball or just throw it down. Get 3-second clock. Is it, we keep blitzing, and this is the sword we have to die on because we know our secondary. What does A&M do different to rectify the season? You started off.
All right, so defensively, I don't think we stop what we've been doing because we did that against Miami, and they torched us, and then we do it against Bama, and they torched us. We did both. But the one
they didn't torch us. They just torched us.
They just beat us. But Milroe had the good game of his life throwing the ball.
Too.
Yeah.
It seems like we make a lot of guys look like Heisman hopefuls over the last 10 years. Sorry, go ahead.
But we sure. But at the same time, we've got real short memories of what we did to KJ Jefferson. What we did to,
remember how we felt a week ago today?
Yeah, it was a different story. So that can be, the key is, and I've said this since the beginning, is the offensive line. Everything is based off the offensive line because we know what we're going to get from the defense. We do. We know what we're going to get from the defense. The defense has outside of Miami hadn't allowed 30 points in a game. We'd only even allowed 2 touchdowns leading up to Bama outside of Miami. The defense is really good. It's all about the offensive line. Open some holes so we can run the ball. We can hit some play action. That'll keep teams from blitzing. There's a lot of things that have to happen, but the O-line is the key to it all.
And I think we said it leading into the season. This team will be as good as the
offensive line takes
defense and offensive line. Defensive line has brought it. The offensive line at times looks better, but has not been elite.
They got it up against a 4-man front that was really good, and they got beat.
Matthew.
Yeah, I would say, look, run the ball effectively, but consistently, right? I mean, we've seen like in and out, right? Even in the Miami game, in the first half, it looked like we were running the ball pretty well. The second half kind of died off there a little bit. And when you're setting yourself up in 3rd and longs and you're letting a Bama defense, right, or even a Tennessee defensive line, and you're letting them tee off on 3rd and long, just setting the house, right? That field position, right? Big plays, negative plays, turnovers, right? That'll happens, right? I mean, 3rd down, we weren't so effective against Alabama. I think a lot of that had to do with, being in 3rd and longs. Then again, also Bama had a tough time in 3rd down. I think they were 4 for 12 in 3rd down.
Yeah, but the ones they converted.
Exactly. So we just don't have that big play right now.
Have you guys gone over the 3rd downs they converted?
They were 3 of them were touchdowns, weren't they?
They converted 4. 2 of them were touchdowns. One of them was the last 3rd down, which A&M would have gotten the ball back with about a minute left. That Milroe got it off, and whoever caught the ball, it looked like his knee was on the floor, but it wasn't. It was a half inch. The 3 killers of the game were on 3rd down.
Luckily, I blacked out by the 4th quarter, so I don't remember
alcohol
that.
consumption, or just you were sad?
Just overall, just raw.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So to go back to your question about the Tennessee game, for me as a fan, and I'm not an X's and O's guys at all, but when I'm sitting up in the bleachers looking down and I see Evan Stewart one-on-one, throw him the ball 80% of the time and see what happens. When I see an offensive line, you're a Madden player, right? You're playing Madden and you can't block. Do you sit there and hold the ball 4 or 5 seconds and let a play work downfield, or do you get it out quick? You get it out quick. So from a fan, all I want to see is some offensive plays where hot pass, quick pass, hot pass, quick pass. If you can't block them, that's okay. We'll do better next year. But right now, you're in the trenches. Get the ball out, be creative, put some guys in space, cut them across the field. Otherwise, why do we have these 5-star receivers? There's no point in recruiting a 5-star receiver if you're not going to give them an opportunity. Max Johnson is the son of a Super Bowl winning quarterback, correct?
Correct.
Is it safe to say he's had some really good quarterback conversation over the last 20 years of his life?
I would assume he's had 1 or 2.
I think so. Turn him loose. Let him go. Don't protect him. Don't do what the Jets are doing with what's his name up there. Turn him loose. Let him have some fun. Because the end result right now is not good anyways. Let him go. That's all I want to see.
How many catches did Evan Stewart have?
4.
4?
Yeah. I'll say like Max Johnson, although his versus Connor Wigman, right? 3 seconds to throw for Max Johnson, which actually is a lot, right? Like you look like Brady Cook's like I think 2.3, Joe Milton's 2.4, Connor Wigman's 2.5. Right in there. So I think there is a difference. Like Miami brought the house, right? No sacks though, right? As a result of Wigman knowing what to do with the ball, not holding on to it, not being afraid to throw some things. Yeah, there was an interception or 2 in there in the Miami game, but I do think some of that has to do with quarterback play. But if Petrino can put Max Johnson in a situation where he can get rid of the ball quickly, I'm 100% with you. I think that's a big part of it.
We all watched his offense in Louisville, and I know he had Lamar time and different things. It's different, but there was so many people in motion and trickery and things, and you're going, wow, which one do I follow? I'm not seeing that.
That might be because that's not what our head coach wants to see right now. That might be. Like, you got to tailor your offense to the system that the coach wants, and that might be part of the conversation. We'll come back with more. Right now, we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet, locally owned and operated here in the Brazos Valley. You need to go there when you're looking for a new vehicle. They've got great deals, great specials out there. But one of the cool things that they do for their service customers is complimentary pickup. And I know a lot of you have got kids, you're busy, you've got to go left and right, and like, I mean, I don't got time to go to Caldwell. Well, they got complimentary pickup for their service customers out there. So you should certainly give them a call at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Proud supporter of all Aggie athletics. They hold their staff to a very high standard out when you go there. And just know this. There are a lot of bigwigs around town, athletes that have gotten their vehicles from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. R.C. Slocum only buys his cars from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Billy's gotten one from there. I've gotten one from there. Dante Hall has done it as well. It's a small-town dealer making dreams come true right here in the Brazos Valley. It's not a long drive, 15 minutes from the very edge of Bryan to Caldwell, very edge of both, all right? But a short conversation away, you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Wallow Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show presented by Girard Construction. So let's talk about individual matchups and things that we can look out for in this game. We're going to start off with Kevin Ross. How are you feeling about the pass rush versus Tennessee? And the reason I say that is Joe Milton's been sacked 5 times. Tennessee has 6 sacks as a team all season long. They have not taken on the caliber of A&M's defensive front. But that is something to look out for because some of the other teams they faced, like Arkansas, gave up a lot of sacks. Bama gave up a lot of sacks. Like Auburn has given up a lot of sacks. That just kind of illustrates where things are.
No, I think we dominated. I think this is a game that
you think Milton goes down a lot?
I do. I think he's about to be running for his life. I think though, if those players are as mad as we are as fans, they're going for everything they've got this game. This will be the game they bring it.
What is a lot of sacks, by the way? Like, are we going to see another 6-7 game?
No. I think if you get
3?
2 to 4, they're doing their job. When you have to depend on 6, 7 sacks, you're not a good team.
It's not realistic.
It's not realistic. That's Madden numbers for my Madden player over there. It
You still
literally.
I like Madden.
You like it?
Yeah, he plays so much video games.
I don't. I play like once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I think 2 to 4 is very realistic, and that's all you can ask of that D line.
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna get to the quarterback all that much. Not necessarily because we're not gonna get pressure on the quarterback.
He throws the ball quick.
Throws the ball quick, right?
Yeah.
And if you shoot too, like when you're way spread out like that, like it's hard to bring in a guy like Bryce Anderson or like whoever that is in that nickel spot, like off the edge, right? If you're trying to get creative, so the most creative you can get is bringing your linebackers, which we've done a really good job of these last couple of weeks. I mean, Ezra Cooper 3 sacks, but I think it is gonna be tough. But if we can get interior pressure, right, and get Joe Milton moving out of there, I think we could see some linebackers filling that window, getting some sacks. So I definitely see that there's a possibility, but I think they just get the ball out too quick.
Okay.
How many times did Milroe get sacked?
5 times this year.
5 times. No.
Oh, Milroe 6.
We sacked him 6 times.
Yeah.
So we went 7, 7, and 6 in our first 3 SEC games.
That would be 20 if you did
that's
math.
20. It's 20.
Wow.
It's 20 sacks in 3 games. Now listen, I don't care how good the other team is at not allowing sacks. That tells us plenty because that is a lot, even against bad offensive lines. That is a ton of sacks, and that doesn't include all the quarterback pressures, everything else. So I think he is going to be pressure. I don't know if we get to him 5 or 6 times. I don't know if we actually get him on the ground 5 or 6 times, but I think we pressure him plenty. He is right though. The corner blitzes and the safety blitzes are going to be probably we're going to see a lot less of that just because those guys have to be in coverage against a team like Tennessee and the style of offense they do and the tempo, everything else. But no, we're definitely going to get pressure on him.
Okay, so here's
because they haven't seen anything like this. I mean, the best team they've played so far is Florida, and they beat them.
Yep.
So,
Mr. Dawson, how are you feeling about the pass blocking? And for illustration, again, Tennessee is number 2 in sacks.
Yeah, well, I don't know how good these offensive lines that they've played. I mean, Frank Harris juniorless UTSA, Tony Muskie led Virginia, right? I mean, they're getting sacks, getting pressures on these guys. I think there's some adjustments that we can make there. I also think that Bobby Petrino is going to recognize. I really like. If he's a good coach, which I know he is, he's going to recognize that he needs to get the ball out sooner. He's going to find ways to get rid of the ball faster, and also too, like a team like Bama, right, against Mississippi State when they were struggling pass blocking, right? You know what they said? We're not going to throw the ball. You know why? Because we can run the ball against a team like Mississippi State. I think we might be able to run the ball against Tennessee. Florida gashed them a lot, right? So hopefully, best case scenario, we're running the ball a ton. We don't even have to. We're not getting in 3rd and long situations where you're having deep back trap.
The only issue I have with that, which I love the idea, and I think Le'Veon has been a really nice running back for them. We haven't seen them really gash a team running yet.
Yes,
that is a concern because we haven't seen it, and this is midseason.
Exactly. So I'm really hoping that we make these adjustments, and I'm predicting that we do make adjustments in the pass blocking game. So I'm hoping for the best.
Okay, Ross?
So I think we won't be able to block them. I don't think we're going to run the ball. And I agree with my new young friend here. I'm hoping that our OC walked in the head coach's office and says, let me just do what I need to do.
Let me cook.
Let me cook. If you're going to hold me accountable, no problem. Let me use my cookbook for this game, and let's see if Max gets that ball out in about 1.4 seconds, and then your offensive line doesn't matter.
We all agree that this is the game, right? Like this is the
turning point.
We all agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
and,
yes.
and by the way, if you win, it doesn't mean anything. And if you lose, all it means is you're not going to win 10 regular season games, right? Because teams can turn around. It just becomes harder and harder to believe.
Yeah. So Every year since Jimbo's been here, it seems like there's been one game where the O-line turns around and we start moving the football on the ground. Now, last year that didn't happen until LSU. Which was sad, right? I mean, we had to get all the way through the season before that happened. But I mean,
you had Devon A-Chain too.
Remember 2020? We go in, we get spanked by Bama, and we turn around with that Florida game, and that O-line just something clicked, and we started running the football. And so I'm hoping that this is the game where we do that because we need to run the ball. We need to play keep away from their offense, right? The up tempo that they do will keep, even though we can do basically full line changes, where most teams don't have that kind of talent to do full on, line change, hockey style line changes. But you still want to keep your defense off the field to keep them fresh. You got to be able to run the football. And this is not Bama. This is not the Bama D line and front seven this is not the front seven we just saw. I know we haven't looked. We didn't run the ball well against.
How many yards did Bama run for?
23 total.
And they won. Okay.
Yeah. But okay,
that's my point.
But that's not.
Other teams don't have to run the ball and they still beat us.
So again, I'm going to say we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. If we keep their by running the ball, we're keeping their offense.
100% agree with that.
So that's what I'm saying.
Heupel
that's what we
is
need
licking
to
his
do.
chops right now.
I'm not saying that's it's going to happen, but I'm saying I sure hope that's what happens, and that the O-line has to be able to protect and keep Max upright, and we do need to figure out a quicker scheme to get the ball out. So
Tennessee on the year is giving up 115 yards on the ground per game, which is good for 35th in the country. For perspective, A&M, you know how good they are. They are at 84 yards per game in the top 10 at number 8.
And I'm not sure Kobe Pace or Paris Jones or Kavorian Barnes are all, top tier running backs. I mean, Trevor Etienne ran for 172. But again, we're not Florida. But we don't want to be Florida. But at the same time, I think Le'Veon Moss. I think that whole entire team of guys. I think if you're gonna find a game like where you can run the ball, I think it has to be here, right? Because you got to be able to run the ball against everyone, right? Now, Bama, I get it, I understand, but let's figure it out, please, let's figure it out in the run game.
All right, caller number 1, we're going to give you a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They're Aggie owned and operated. With the friendliest staff and a personal touch, they offer a monthly membership, but they're going to give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express in South College Station, 979-693-1150. Make sure you call them up. It's Aggie Land Express in South College Station. Welcome back in. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. It is the fan show presented by Girard Construction. Gentlemen, before we go around the SEC and other games that might matter in college football, I'm going to ask you guys what you expect to see this weekend. Not what you want to see, what you expect to see. Mr. Dawson, you start us off.
I went back and forth with this. In fact, the other day, if you were to ask me, I would have said A&M wins a gritty one. But I keep going back to just being on the road in that environment, and I think Tennessee's going to get rid of the ball quickly. Right, in the past game, we relied heavily on negative plays with sacks. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think that they might get some explosive plays. Even with Brew McCoy out, they still have some very, very explosive receivers, which is very, very dangerous. Even though Joe Milton's not necessarily stretching the ball down the field, and if we have another Miami episode where we can't tackle, that's going to be a huge problem. So, and offensively, if we don't get things fixed, which I do think we can at some point this game, I think it'll happen. But I think it's a close loss. Another absolute heartbreaker, I think.
So what you're saying is next week's going to suck.
Yeah, well, you'll be back here on air with a smile, and I can't wait to see you and just doing your best.
Did you just make fun of the way I smile? I think
no.
you just did.
No. I'm saying
you're
gonna be trying real hard to smile.
Look, you guys, if you ever see my post-game shows, I don't smile a lot on those, unfortunately. Kevin, let's get into it.
What I expect to see is change. What I expect to see is something different. What I expect to see is what we've just already been talking about, something different in the offensive game. Outside of the Miami game, the defense, you're doing your job. You really are. And shame on us if we can't get a few more points. Did we score any points in the second half of Bama?
Three.
Okay. Surely, with all of those offensive geniuses and 5 stars, I expect to see more than 3 points in the second half. That's what I'm going to say.
You expect to see more than 3, and you think we're going to win the game.
I think we're going to win. I really do. Mark it.
Book it.
I mean, he thinks we're going to win just so our hope gets back up, and then
we're going to lose.
We get crushed again.
Yeah.
He said because that's what we do. So,
and I'll be the guy wearing the shirts that told you so later.
And I, for one, I'm glad you clarified expect versus hope, because what we've talked about is hope, and what can happen. What can happen is our defensive line can be amazing, our front seven can be amazing, and keep us in this football game, and our offense can do things. But I mean, and get the ball out and run the ball and all that. That's the stuff that we want to see, right, and hope to see. But what do I expect to see?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing that happens. I mean, we haven't won a road game against a ranked opponent since, 2014?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, I didn't see anything last week that makes me think that we're going to pull that off for the first time in almost 9 years, So it's and we hadn't won a road game, just a true road game since 2021. Yeah. So, I mean, so
let me ask you this. If they do, does that break the curse? Do you feel then like, all right, Ole Miss, let's freaking go?
Yeah. 100%.
Baton Rouge, vamos.
You saw what happened. You saw us. We lost to Miami. Everyone's down and moping around, and this team sucks, and get rid of Durkin and do this and all that. And then we go on that tear where our defense was amazing for 3 games. And they were still really good. They did an awesome job against Bama. They really did outside the secondary. I mean, we got to Milton 5 times, 6 times. We sacked him 6 times, and they had tackles for loss. They ran for 23 total yards. That's amazing to do against an Alabama team, okay? So, yes, it's all there. If we win this game, it's right back. Hey, all right, let's go. If we can beat Tennessee on the road, we can beat Ole Miss on the road. We can beat LSU on the road. I mean, that is all right back in play, and we'll all be right back here next week going, heck yeah, let's go, right?
But as the road trips go, although I think this one's harder than Ole Miss in my opinion, the quarterbacks do get better with each road trip.
Yes.
Because Joe Milton's here. Jackson Dart's a step up. Jaden Daniels is a different level of QB, especially this year.
Well, we saw Jaden Daniels last year. hopefully he's still having nightmares about his game last year.
Hopefully. Let's go around some of the games going on. We'll do some SEC games. Mr. Dawson, Arkansas at number 11, Alabama. Any chance Arkansas could do us a favor, win that game, and then we beat Tennessee and we feel good? See that bad dance?
There's 0 chance that offensive line is holding up. Sorry to absolutely shoot down your hopes there, David, but I mean, Alabama, look, they got after our offensive line, right? I mean, we saw what we did to their offensive line. We made them look like absolute, I mean,
garbage.
Yes, for lack of a better word to use, but they were bad. They haven't been able to run the ball. I think did Raheem Sanders even have 30 yards last week? I mean,
I think he had 34 yards, if I remember.
He had 34.
Something that effect.
But like right in that range, I mean, brutal, right? And when their identity, right, with Sam Pittman, what he wants to do there is, right, build in the beef, in the trenches, and he can't do that, then they have no identity. So there's no way that they're able to pull that off, I don't think.
Okay. Okay, Ross?
Yeah, you know what's funny? We should have won Saturday. We had a better chance than Arkansas against Alabama as far as the matchup goes. And seeing how we couldn't do it with what we were planning, I don't think Arkansas can do it as much as I want them to. I don't see it happening either.
No.
The spread is 20.5.
Yeah, no. I see Bama covering.
Can they even cover?
No, they'll cover.
Auburn on the road at number 22, LS who? Browning?
No. I mean, LSU is going to win that game pretty handedly.
Kevin?
No.
Yeah, I think LSU wins and covers. What is it, like 11.5?
What's the spread?
The spread for that game is LSU by 11.
Wow.
And if it's at night,
yeah, they
no
cover.
chance.
That game is at 6 o'clock, night-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
6:30 game, Missouri at number 24, Kentucky.
Now, that game I'm looking for. That's going to be a good football game.
Yeah, Kentucky favored by 2.5, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because is Kentucky a really good football team? I mean,
or is Missouri?
Or is, are either of them like good football teams? We don't know. I think we learned a lot from that game for sure. And I'm excited. I always like watching Luther Burden. He's an Illinois guy, so represent. So I'm a big fan of his, and he's doing great work out there. And Brady Cook also, who I would never have expected to have the season that he's having. He's playing fantastic.
He had his first pick last week.
Yeah, and Devin Leary is on the opposite trajectory.
Which I expected opposite
of.
Yeah.
Right? And, I mean, what Ray Davis is doing there for Kentucky is pretty incredible. And that defensive line also, which I think Jordan Rogers transferred to Auburn. I thought their interior was going to have some serious issues, but they've held up.
Yep.
So, I mean, if Cody Schrader, Mizzou can't run the ball, and Brady Cook is kind of sitting there in the pocket, I mean, Luther Burden's going to get his, but I think it's a great game. I think Missouri ends up winning that football game, though.
I agree. Probably one of the best matchups of the weekend.
Yeah.
And kudos to Kentucky, man. They still just keep grinding. They've turned a page. You know, they just keep doing good things. Hats off to them. I would take Mizzou in this game.
I mean, Kentucky coming off of that, beat down. I mean, I did say that was Georgia's. I did say
they
that
were
last
right
week.
for that.
That was their get right game, and they got right for it. And, I expect this one to be close. I mean, like I'm talking come down to the wire. I mean, the last few seconds of the game. I think it's going to be a really, really close game, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. So I'm going to go Kentucky just because I think they're going to be fired up this week, and they've at least been tested more than Missouri has.
Number 8, Oregon. At number 7, Washington, Mr. Browning. Do you even care?
I can care less. I mean, what? I don't even know if I've heard of these two teams. No, I mean, Oregon looks like
you got the Heisman Trophy front runner.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon. Where's it? Where's it at?
It is at Washington.
I don't think that matters in the Pac-12 really all that much. I mean, they don't really. They don't pack the house. Although those Washington fans are they're kind of crazy. I mean, they're so crazy they steal college, their pro teams steal college logos and everything else. So, or pay big money for it apparently. So no, but I'd still go Oregon. I mean, Oregon just seems like they've got they look at the Miami Dolphins with all the speed they've got. So yeah, I'd go Oregon on that one.
Mr. Ross?
I'm gonna take Washington.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and take Oregon.
Nobody really cares about this game. I can
Nobody cares.
By the voice, I
just care less.
I didn't know they still had teams, to be honest with you.
All right, let me try to give you another one. Let's see if this game I think we can kind of care about. Number 10, USC on the road at number 21, Notre Dame.
Give me Notre Dame in that game. I can't,
defense?
I can't stand to watch that USC defense any longer. I mean, I get Barry Alexander's playing well, SEC guy, but like smokes, man. I mean, they can't tackle. 3 back-to-back. People talk about Notre Dame like schedule dynamics, like playing 3 close games with tough teams back-to-back weeks. So is USC, but those teams are Arizona, Colorado, Arizona State. It is right. Audric Estime, who by the way Notre Dame didn't give the ball until the end of the first quarter last week. No wonder why they lost. Right? I think they're going to feed him. They're not going to be able to tackle him. Give me Notre Dame.
I agree. Notre Dame all the way on this one. I too, I've watched enough USC. I'm like, oh, let's see this offense and things. I've watched powder puff games at the high schools tackle better than USC. And at some point, enough's enough. And it's really interesting. You thought after last year, they were going to kind of tweak some things and no.
They're going to fire
Give me
Alex
Notre Dame.
Grinch after this game. And they're going to get Torres and they're going to fire him. Go ahead.
I'm going USC, and here's why. Because this is the one
If
game
you say
they've really
anything
got to
other
get up
than
for.
Caleb Williams, I don't know if I believe what you're going to say.
I mean, this is their one game they got to get up for. And now, does the Pac-12 still play a championship game? Yeah,
Yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
So they won't play Oregon until then if they get them at all. So this is the one game they got to get up for. And I bet you, and they've got enough talent, and they've got the best quarterback in the country. So I mean, they could easily win this. And Notre Dame doesn't look that great either. So I'm going to go USC in this one.
Yep.
By the way, Caleb Williams has thrown for 1,822 yards,
That's
22
insane.
touchdowns, 1 interception
Wow.
on the year. Let's do number 25, Miami. Mario, what are you doing, bro? Versus number 12, North Carolina.
Dude, how about SEC shorts, by the way?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
No.
It's really, really
I'm
funny.
anti anything but myself when the Aggies lose.
No, it's really funny. It's really funny.
I'm out.
It's really funny, and it really is funny. It's worth a watch. It's
Yeah.
worth a watch because they do throw a little dig in there at Miami as well.
Do they?
Yeah, and so it's really funny. So you've got to watch. Anyone that hadn't seen it, watch it, please. It's really funny.
Well, I mean, hey, at least one Aggie beat Miami this year. You know, Haynes King.
Haynes.
Yeah.
I mean, how about that?
But yeah, who are they playing? What were you saying?
North Carolina.
North
Drake
Carolina.
May, the fighting Drake Mays, 1,629 yards, passing, 8 touchdowns with his 4 picks versus Miami, who doesn't. And by the way, the fact that game was close at all against Georgia Tech might tell you. And after this happens, of course, on the day that A&M loses to Bama, right? Like it's got to happen on the same day.
Did Miami outgain them by like 300 yards before that last play? Like,
It's so stupid. But I'm gonna go with Miami more out of a sense of hope than any knowledge I have on it. And that and actually I'm actually one of the few Aggies that really likes Mac Brown. I like Mac Brown.
I do too.
I do like Mac Brown.
I don't
He's a
like him
nice
in Texas,
guy.
but I like him outside of Texas.
Yeah, I mean he seems like a nice enough guy, and he should have run for governor. He probably would have got it, but yeah, I'm going to go Miami on this one just from a standpoint. I think they're probably the overall better team.
yeah, I'll fade you here. I'll take North Carolina. I think Drake made these last 2 games, right? Early on in the season, it was like, hey, no Phil Longo here at offense coordinator. We're struggling a little bit, but man, he has shown out these last 2 games, shown why he's going to be one of the top draft picks in this year's class. The defense has also been a little bit better. That was a huge question mark going into the season for North Carolina. Miami's offensive line I think is going to hold up, but I just think it's Drake May and Mac Brown versus Tyler Van Dyke and Mario Cristobal. Give me North Carolina.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with some numbers we expect to see from the Aggie offense, defense, you name it, next here on your favorite show, I hope, maybe, the Fan Show on TexAgs Radio. Fan show presented by Gerard Construction here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, what kind of numbers can we expect, gentlemen? What kind of numbers is Max Johnson going to put up?
All right, wait. You have to clarify. Expect or hope?
Both. No,
Okay.
just expect.
All right. You're
Stick
coming
to
off.
expect.
We're coming off of such a bad game that the feelings are. Could he? I mean, he could throw for 300 yards, but will he? Probably not. He'll probably
So what do you
throw
expect?
I expect 200 yards and maybe a touchdown.
And then a pick? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
How many?
Just one.
Matthew?
I'm going to go real specific so I look awesome when it actually hits. 17 for 25, $190, 2 touchdowns. How about that? And 1 pick.
1 pick.
But it's going to be an absolutely back-breaking pick.
Oh.
My God.
It's going to be absolutely, it's gonna be absolutely
You see how he
back-breaking.
said that like the Joker? He was smiling as he was saying it.
Absolutely
Like,
back-breaking.
God, I hate you right now. All right.
We've taken a guy from the Chicago area, made him drink the maroon Kool-Aid. In 4 years, he gets it now. I love it.
Watched a lot of Bears.
So I'm going to go, again, I think this is breakout for Max because I think we're finally going to unleash him. Quick passes. I'm going to go 250 yards passing. He's going to throw for 3 touchdowns. Evan Stewart is going to have 2 touchdowns. You mark it. But he's going to throw a pick 6 that breaks us.
I thought you said we're going to win.
You said we're going to win.
No. Excuse me. A pick 6 that breaks us in the middle of the game. Sorry, where we're down.
Okay.
I still think we win.
Okay.
But I think
breaks
that,
us in the moment.
Yeah. I think that pick 6 is going to hurt us in that moment.
Okay.
Well, a pick 6 would hurt us anytime.
No. But if you're up by 30 and you throw a pick 6, not a big deal. But if it's a
Yeah.
close game and you throw a pick 6,
And they take
it
the
is
lead for a
crushing.
moment. Yeah.
Yes.
On the road
Yes.
in
Yeah.
New England Stadium. All right. Who's going to be the leading receiver, gentlemen?
I'll let y'all take the easy
Here,
one.
I'll go first.
Low hanging fruit.
When Petrino got here, what was his little slogan?
Feed the studs.
Huh, interesting. So I'm assuming that means he's going to throw the ball to Stewart 10 times. So I'm going to go Evan Stewart as our leading receiver.
By the way, it feels like more like feed the stud of the game as opposed to feed the studs.
Yeah, there's
At least
one
in
guy.
the Alabama game. In the last couple of games, there's been like one guy getting a lot of them. Dawson.
Yeah, I want it to be Evan Stewart. I think it's going to be Anais Smith. I think Max
Again?
Johnson. I think it's going to be again. I think he's just been comfortable with that. I think, look, if you're looking for quick passes right out of the slot, I think he's going to be getting them, right? So I hope it's Evan Stewart because I hope, again, feed the studs. I hope Noah Thomas gets his. I hope everyone gets theirs.
I can't take who they've taken. So I have
You
to
can
go.
take whoever you
I
want.
can. I mean,
But you won't.
I think it'll be Anais, obviously. But
That's
I would
right.
love.
Just say it.
I would love to see the Moose's breakout game here.
Oh,
I'd love to see because Moose has every bit of talent. And I don't know why he's getting 2 balls thrown his way every game, but Moose has every bit of talent. Noah is legit, and I know he's struggling with a foot and some personal things and all that. And so I would love. You know what? I'm saying Noah Thomas.
Noah Thomas.
There it is.
Wow.
Come on, Noah.
How many sacks? We got to go quick. How many sacks?
That Max is going to take?
No. The Aggies are going to get.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to go 4 sacks.
1.
5.
How many sacks does Max take?
17.
Come on.
I'm going to go 7.
He's going to get sacked 7 times.
7 times.
And we win?
7 times, and we still win.
I don't
Mark
understand.
it.
Pick
Mark
6, 7 sacks.
I don't
Are your interns writing this down? Mark it.
Do you see why he and I argue
3
about football all
sacks.
day
Yeah.
long every day?
3 sacks. He
3
takes.
sacks.
We're not gonna. He's gonna get sacked. Yeah, I like 3. 3's a
That's a
good.
good number.
How many interceptions does A&M get?
None.
I hate everybody.
We've only had 3 picks in the whole season.
I don't know. Joe Milton, he gets a little careless sometimes under pressure. If we put pressure, I think 2 picks would be outstanding. I'll go with 2.
I'm going to go realistic 1. We get 1 pick.
That's realistic, but I'm trying to be hopeful.
All right, and then how many does Max throw?
1.
I said 1.
2.
You were about
In
to
a
do
win.
0. You were close to 0.
But then he remembered he already
Man.
said pick 6.
But I take 1 for the pick 6, but 2. Realistic, because I think he's going to throw that much.
Bro,
he's about to throw that
If he throws
much.
2 interceptions, including a pick 6, and gets sacked, how many times? 7?
7.
There's no way they win that game, right?
So if we hold Alabama to 24 rushing yards, there's no way they win, right?
Yeah, that
there it
happens.
is.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's going to do it. I'm just saying, we're not Alabama.
I wish we'd had a pick 6.
We're not.
Oh.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio. We got a lot of stuff tomorrow. We will see you mañana.